How you doing, What? Next week, bud. It was my daughter's birthday a few days ago on the 5th. So we've the weather's been just really nice in the UK this week. So we just got a barbecue a family tomorrow. So next Friday I'll be starting. So I'll just be streaming from Monday. But yeah, I noticed even Mark that first one, didn't he? The one where it was nice before the reload of this historic and. Not after he marked it anyway, so but yeah, he did. That second one, I like that second one. I was hoping we were going to get something like that here, maybe a higher low. But yeah, he did mark it. So it was all right day yesterday. What I've started doing is writing a diary. The start of every trading day, just to set out plans, what I'm going to do, just to write down how I did yesterday, just to sort of. So I can sort of, be mentally aware before I trade what the plan is, what I'm going to do. Even if I'm writing exactly the same thing every day, it doesn't matter. The fact that I'm actually writing it and I'm aware of what's going on in my head at the time. So I'm just trying to see if I can follow the rules and play the game as perfectly as I can. And get away from any type of silliness if I can. I think every time we make a mistake, we try and just improve that little bit and try and improve. Well, when I got those 4 accounts, I felt like I'd made a lot of progress in the time I built them. But obviously the mistake turned out I made that I was relying too much on the income. And I remember getting close to the payment, getting close to that 2,600, and I really felt the pressure. I was sort of scared to take a trade in a way, and I think that's what led to the demise of that. Whereas if you've got a regular income, you don't have to think about it. So I think that was the real problem there. So, but when we get these problems, we've got to put something in place, and it is the fact that I'm going back to work next week. So, so that hopefully should cover that angle. So, but I appreciate that. Thanks, mate. Growl Daddy, how you doing? But exponential added pressure went on. Absolutely. I got to say, it's. I remember talking about it a bit, being sort of nervous to take trades, and I thought it was better to be slightly more overcautious than be a little bit careless. How you doing, Chris? But sometimes you've got to take trades. Because they're few and far between. There's not a hell of a lot around. So when you see a good setup, ideally you don't want to be scared to take it, do you? And I suppose it's something that most traders will experience. You go from, being a bit careless to a bit overcautious. But yeah, if there's no pressure to make money, you can just concentrate on building those accounts. Because if you can get those accounts up to say $8,000 or $10,000, they're at a comfortable level, and that you can take a couple of thousand. If I got it up to 8,000, I took 2,000. I've still got 6,000. And trading 2 contracts is risking about 4 to 5%, which is not too bad. It's much better than only having a 2,500 drawdown. So that's the plan. At least that way I can take some money and I don't have to worry about trading. I know even if I take nothing for the next month, I've still got a comfortable amount in there. So, we make mistakes. That's part of. In fact, I'm just wondering whether this is going to turn out like this in the end. We make mistakes. It's how we learn. Leg down, leg down. This might be interesting. And it's okay to make mistakes. You do learn valuable lessons. It is part of the process. It doesn't feel nice when you're losing and making mistakes, but it is part of the process. It looks like 2 legs there. It is part of the process, so it's just the way it is. But it does make you learn. It's a painful lesson, but it's a lesson nonetheless. So leg down, leg down. The trouble is, it's a little bit congested here. So, and I mean, if this had touched a few times here, I wouldn't mind going long on something like that. But there is a possibility that could be wider, or it could be none at all. So it is a leg down and another leg up. It's probably not a terrible trade in all fairness. Market is open, but it is a bit congested there. I expect it to go up. In fact, I'm just going to sit tight on this. I expect it to go up, but Market as just open. It's a 3-point risk, tick above, tick below. But sometimes, you know, I nearly clicked the buy button there, but I'm just going to sit tight and take my time. It looks like it's going to work up, to be fair, so that probably would have been an okay trade, but sometimes I'm trying to resist the urge to jump into something without having a proper think about it. And my first analysis of that, which I just literally mentioned, it is a bit congested now. That does look like it's, I mean, it's clearly made 2 points now anyway, so if I'd have got in there, yeah, it's comfortably made 2 points, but you know, sometimes when you jump in without thinking, I've done that a bit before, and it tends to bite you. Now, I'd rather let a trade go by than jump in a little bit too excited, because the market's, you know what I'm saying, don't you? Because the market. So we've got a leg, couple of legs back. It does look like 2 legs back at a nice bearish, bullish bar, but I wanted to just give it a little bit of time. I think sometimes you're best off being a little bit cautious. So Sam, how you doing, bud? Rodian, how are you, mate? Good evening, I should say, to Rodian. As we know, Rodian's the other side of the world, certainly from the UK. Oh, that's a new name. Let me have a look at that. Laufey, is that right? I hope I haven't murdered your name. If I have, I apologise. Laufey. Laufey. I still think about that. High or low. Oh, yesterday's trade. That, in my opinion, was a good trade. I know there wasn't a lot of room to the top, but that's the type of trade that does push up another leg again. Yeah, Laufey, brilliant. Mac marked it, and also Marco took it as well. That high-low second entry. Where was it? Let's move over. I wish I'd have taken that now, but the trouble is, I think you're much better to be cool and calm when you take a trade, and I was a bit torn there. Part of me was thinking, we're congested. This hasn't been confirmed as another channel. And part of me wanted to jump in. And I think if you're going to take a trade, you need to be have a lot of self-control. And that would have been a little bit too jumpy for me to get in there, although it has worked. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. I like the fact that I ended up keeping a bit of self-control. But you see me, if you look back on the video, I went for the button. And then I just thought, oh, hold back. That one yesterday, that was a nice trade. I think I love taking them types of trade. They just always work. That's the one there. Yeah, so we came down there, we had a break, couple of legs up, we came down there, and that to me is bottoming. We're pushing up, so we had a push up to there, we came down, made a higher low. That was a nice trade there. I had that marked like that. Mac had it marked like that. Is that it? Yeah. I like that. And do you remember me leaving that trade? I said something doesn't look right. There was quite a few people got stung there. This doesn't look right. It's a small leg followed by a big leg. Now, normally that's a second entry. We've had a few touches there, but just something about it doesn't look right. So I left it, and I think quite a few people got stung yesterday, but I'm quite glad I left it because it just didn't look right, and rightly so. It was a good decision to leave it, and when you make those decisions, it doesn't often make you feel better. But yeah, that was the trade yesterday. So we'd had a push up, we come back, hit that for me confirmed it. High or low, I like them type of trades. Leg up, that was a nice trade, I think. But yeah, Mac marked it, and that's the type of trade that Mac always marks, and Marco took it as well. So so far we're ranging. We've come up here once. Looks like we're on the way. So yeah, see, that would have turned out in a nice trade in the end. But in all fairness, it is. You've just got to be a little bit cautious because it's around that. It's around the midline and around the yesterday's open. So if I took that trade and it triggered me and came back down, and I posted, what did that trade lose? The simple answer would be, 1, it's congested, and 2, it's around the midline and around the official open. So that's 2 reasons not to take it. It does look right, and at the end of the day, a bigger channel hasn't been confirmed, although it is very common to have that go sideways, sit on a nice big bullish bar, and then push up, and that's exactly what it did. And I drew that just before it started. But I think sometimes it's better just to, if you're getting a bit, sometimes I'll jump in and buy, and sometimes I think, calm down, you're getting a bit too overexcited there. because there's when the market first opens, there's that sort of mixture of a little bit of nerves and a little bit of excitement, and sometimes they can sort of take over you a little bit, and you can jump a little bit too quick, and nothing worse than in the first few, couple of minutes starting with a loss. But that worked out okay in the end. Whether Mac will mark that, I don't know. But we'd had a leg and a leg. It did look like two legs, although there is technically that was the first entry, that was the second entry, so it was a third entry. But for me, it was a couple of legs. If we'd have had that in the middle of a channel, again, then I would take that. But at the moment, it's just a little bit too early. So I'm going to keep the comments on at the moment. Now, it's kind of nice to have a chat, but what I want to try and avoid doing is having people say, I think it's the market's going here, or I think it's going there, or I'm looking short. I'd rather just have a chit chat after a trade. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, because if you get too much, or I think we're going long here, I think it starts to mess with your psyche a little bit. If I'm thinking a certain way and I get a few people saying, no, I think we're going short, or I think we're going long. So if I feel that the comments again are getting making me get a little bit confused on my bias, then I might disable them for a bit. But at the moment, they're okay. So if we keep the comments sort of nice and light and not too focused about, about a specific what we're looking for, or, occasionally I've taken a trade and someone goes, no, there was a guy, I don't know, a month ago, and it put a doubt in my head, and I come out the trade and the trade worked beautifully. So we're going to try and avoid that. That way we get to keep the comments, you know what I mean, rather than them disabling them, because it is nice to have a chat. Staying up late tonight. Good on you, mate. Good on you. I don't know what it's like at your neck of the woods, but I know it's baking bloody hot in the UK. Probably not compared to some countries. It's about 28 degrees centigrade at the moment, but it's been naff for 6 weeks. I don't think we've been above 22 degrees. But it's wall-to-wall sunshine at the moment. So even when you jump that 6 degrees, 28 in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot, but when you've been used to between 19 and 20 on average, it takes your breath away a bit. But I went out and cleaned. We got a little pole in the garden. Sounds a bit extravagant, but it's just one of those 12-foot Intex metal frame ones. They're about £100, £200, something like that. They're not a lot. But I cleaned it yesterday because it was warm, and I got up this morning and there's about 6 inches missing out of it. We've got a leak somewhere, so that's a bit frustrating, but it's nothing like a nice dip at 3 o'clock in the morning outside when you can't sleep. So yeah, I'm going to play it by ear with the comments. Most of the time the comments are quite quiet, but if someone's got a question or it is nice to be able to talk about something sometime, but I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing. But if it gets too specific about certain trades, then I might, just disable them, just, with the, just during the main sort of trading bit. But at the moment, it's pretty light. So if we keep the comments quite light and not too specific, then I don't think we'll go wrong. But we got no news today, so that's... and it's Friday as well. ATR's starting to get down a little bit. I don't like it too high because your risks get a bit higher. Clearly see the bars a bit higher there, but they're sort of tapering off a little bit. So what sort of day are we going to have? In fact, let's get rid of that. We got a leg up. A little bit of sideways, another leg up. It hasn't really been confirmed, that channel anyway. It's sometimes you're much better off just focusing on the smaller stuff. It actually makes things a bit clearer. As soon as you put an up channel in there, straight away you're thinking we're in a channel going up, when at the moment it's likely we're coming down. I'd say that's close enough. It may have another retest and clip these highs, but sometimes it's close enough. Now if it does work up there, I'll put that back, but at the moment I'm just getting the impression we're ranging at the moment. got that first contract for 1.5 and a run of 5 points and for the day. Good on you, mate. Nice when you get a runner, isn't it? One thing I didn't mention, that Replicanto, just in case anybody's in the market. At the end of this month, Replicanto goes up by 25%. So it goes up from $150 to $200. So if you are in the market for one pretty soon, just keep that in mind that at the end of this month it goes up. Now, we still get the 20% discount off it, so the 150 at the moment brings it down to 120. Is that right? Yeah, brings it down to 120, but then it will go up by $50. But we'll still get the discount, so it'll go to 200. That'll bring it down to 160. But it's this $40 difference. So if you are in the market for one, just keep that in mind. And our 80% off finishes on the 12th, which is another 4 days, I think. I'm a bit concerned about this because we went 3 weeks without a decent discount. We had the 50% off resets, but if you've not got any evaluations or they've run out a few weeks ago, you don't really want to be resetting one. So I don't know whether they're starting to slow down on their offers. I can't for the life of me understand why. So there is a possibility, depending on how this forms. Now, I don't really like picking tops, but that might work. But it is a bloody big bar, so I ain't getting involved at the moment. I've mentioned a few times I don't have a lot of luck with picking tops, but in all fairness, I don't think that's a terrible trade, but I'm not very good at them, so don't listen to me, whatever you do. Let's take that away for a minute, but I don't think, in all fairness, it's not a bad trade, but it's only the second time we've been up here yet, so, you know, we may continue out the top. I think if you're going to pick a top, the lower high would be the better option. Yeah, lower high. See, so that might be a trap. So it'll either stop that out or it'll come down, stop that out, because that's a lower high there, isn't it? We got a leg up. But I think the best thing to do is just to be cautious around here, because it could come down into a range, which I think is probably more likely, or it could push up into a channel, but it's a bit too early to make a decent decision at the moment. So I'm leaving it alone. That's up or down. If you took that one, you may get stopped out. So it's just a bit. It may even go a bit sideways here because if I've got mixed feelings, there's probably not the only one. You could sort of certainly say it starts from there. I am aware of that, but diddly. Oh, so there is a little bit of. Let's put a little bit of sideways action going there. So there's a bit of mixed feelings. Just trying to think if there is some sort of a channel there. Trouble is, you've got to be a bit careful earlier on these because you can get yourself in a bit of bother. Trouble is, if you put that straight away, you're thinking long, and it may well, but you just got to be a bit cautious. I don't want to go long into that because one, we're going sideways, so it could trigger and come down and stop that out, or it could push out. But for me, at the moment, the way it's going sideways, I would say it's more likely to come down, but only by maybe 60-40. There's a rough guesstimate, but we're at the top seam. We're struggling to get above at the moment, so I think it's more likely it's going to come down, but I don't know. No idea. So there's a lower high there, and if that triggers, there's a possible failed second entry short. Stroke second entry long if that finishes bullish, but same again, it's just too risky. Could be a second entry long if that forms, also a failed second entry short triggering the lower high. So there's going to be some stops there and some stops there, so could push up and take out those stops. So I've got some mixed feelings about this, so I'm just staying out of it. Could go either way. I think if that bar there hits those stops for the lower high, then I think it's more likely to go up. But at the moment, see, there's a failed second entry long there, so that might be the better trade, the failed second entry long, but it's a big bar. And it could trigger you and push back in. It could be a failed breakout, so I'm staying out of it again. I think it's more likely to come down because it's looking more rangy, but I'm still staying out of that at the moment. Purely and simply because we've gone sideways. I did put a post yesterday about that. You know, we were discussing yesterday about reloading the historic data. And someone called Penelope gave me a decent answer. Let me have a look. Where is it? What's that? Penelope. When I first switched to NinjaTrader from multi-charts, I had an issue with my chart loading, sometimes missing bars, sometimes really huge bars that weren't showing up on multi-charts. I contacted client service at NinjaTrader and they said to reload historic data, which fixed it. I asked how I could prevent this in the future. They said reload historic data every day. So there we go. So never had any problems since. So okay, so reload your historic data before you trade it. I did it again this morning, so yeah. So if you would have taken that failure, it didn't trigger anyway, so you'd have been okay. But 1 minute it looks like it could push up from there or there. Next minute you've got a failed second entry long, and it looks like it could pull back in. So that's what I mean. There's going to be some stops there and some stops there. Probably not much there because it didn't trigger, but 1 minute it looks like it's going up. That's so when it goes sideways like that, you're best off just staying out of it. That's all I'm doing. Not a huge amount of volume so far. Where the market opened here, 230. Not a lot of volume. Very little volume, actually. Very little volume. Trouble is, when it's doing this, no one's buying or selling, so that's probably why. If it can push out of there again, then maybe it's close to a rollover. Ah, of course. Anybody rolled over yet or not? No. Oh, that's a thought. Yeah, I think it's just because it's stuck in the range. You're not buying or selling there, so if we're not buying or selling, no buggeries really, are they? You think Monday, yeah. See, it goes with the 9th, doesn't it? We're in the 9th at the moment, so you would think it'd be the end of the 9th, but it's not. It doesn't work that way, does it? Usually, we'll get something from Apex or Ninja Trader to roll over, but no news and rollover. Yeah, rangy session maybe, but yeah, when it's like this, it's clearly there's uncertainty. So if there's uncertainty, most people are just sitting on their hands, aren't they? Really, but yeah, I forgot about rollover. It goes that quick, doesn't it? Okay, so is this the bit where it's going to push up and out? Yeah, I mean, there is a possibility that there's something else that I see when it does that. There is a possibility that there is a channel, maybe a spike in channel. It's possible, but really, if you say we touch here, I'm not really interested in trading this. Normally, if we're at uptrend, you'd be looking for a long, but until we can get above here and then maybe retest the top and push up, then I'm just going to get rid of it, because at the moment it's just pie in the sky, isn't it? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Pfft, your guess is as good as mine. So, so look, we go up 1, 2, 3, maybe a triple test off the top. I don't know. I'm not getting involved here. I've got no idea whether it's going up or down. I think it's probably more likely it's going to go down, but not by much. But that bar's been triggered now, so if it breaks above that bar, then it will probably hit some stops. So I'd say if it does break above that bar, then I think it's probably going to change, that it's more likely it's going to go up, or at least have a breakout. Whether it comes back in or not, I don't know. Did you ask Mac about historical? I haven't, no, but I just mentioned that comment I had from Penelope. I'll read it again just in case anybody missed it. When I first switched to Ninja Trader from multi-charts, I had the issue of my chart loading, sometimes missing bars, sometimes bars, really huge bars weren't showing up on multi-charts. I called client services at Ninja Trader. They said to reload all historic data, which fixed the problem. I asked if I could prevent it in the future. They said reload historic data every day, so I did. So if that comes from customer services at Ninja Trader, that's good enough for me, I think. I think other people said they reloaded it. So I usually do, in all fairness, but sometimes I forget. But Mac actually marked that one as a green trade, as a green arrow, which means nice setup, but the bar may be a little bit more aggressive. But obviously, when I took it, the bar looked super. So I think you're probably better off reloading it. I might still drop my line actually, just to see what his take is on it. But so yeah, look at that. That triggers, starts to push up. You think, okay, maybe we're going up. But because it's hit so many times and we're going sideways, I think for me it's more likely it's coming down. We did have a bit of a breakout there which pushed back in, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here, whether we just retest it. I think after this, I think it's more likely to have a little retest and then to carry on down, I think, because it's tried to go up a lot of times. So for me, a little retest and then back down. Okay, that's my retest. So I think now we're coming down. This the official open is clearly acting as a bit of support there, so I think we'll have a leg down. We may come down to here, and that may cause a little bit of resistance there. So we've got a leg, another leg down. Whether we continue or not, I don't know. Thing is, when you have a range day, it's nice to go up and down a few times, really, isn't it? Before you start looking. Depends on how you look at that. That's going to come down to around about this. In fact, I'll tell you what I haven't done. Where's 230? It's around about here, isn't it? There we go. Actually, that's right in the midline, this. Okay, I'm not going to bother putting the official open. The New York Open, because it's right in that midline anyway, and I'm always aware midline could result in some support and resistance. So. Oh, I got that wrong. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I think there may be the start of something larger there. Okay, so I think there's a bigger channel brewing there. Touch, 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 and the way that's pushing up there, I think that's likely. So if we can push up there, retest it, then I think, well, I'm still going to leave it if we get up here until we come back and retest it, because it could still break out and then fail and then come back in. Most breakouts fail, so that one certainly did. I didn't expect that to, especially after we've been up here 3 times and struggled to get above this. But funnily enough, that's pushed up quite strong, but had a bit of a drop, and it's still, nothing's closing above that line. So there may be a channel starting there. I think there's a good possibility. Touch, touch, touch. If we can get above here and come back and maybe retest it and push higher, then I'm thinking about longs then maybe. But at the moment, I want to give it a chance to fail as a breakout before I think about going long. So perhaps that's what it's done, gone from the top to the bottom and up. There's a higher low there. Still risky going into that because it might not work. That went up and then dropped like a stone. Well, I say like a stone, slight exaggeration maybe, but there is a lower high there, but it's a bit too far away, and you don't want to be taking a trade there, in my opinion, because there is a lot of, if it didn't work, the simple answer would be, why the hell did you go long into all that? So if there's a reason for it that you can think of, that reason's good enough to not take the trade. But I think it's likely there is a bigger channel there. It visually looks okay. It visually looks like it's working within that channel. Sometimes the angle of the actual smaller channels was within the bigger one look off, but that looks okay to me. And the way that's pushing nice and slowly but up, okay. So that, for me, I'd say now we're working higher. You've got to give it a chance to fail before you think about going long. Because it could still fail. This sort of purple line, sort of channel, the range overpowers it, so it's more important that the range at the moment, once we're out the range and we retest it and push higher, then the range sort of becomes a little bit less important. But at the moment, even though I've got that indicating that we may go higher, if I take that away, let's just remove that like that, straight away you're thinking sideways, yeah. Then when you put that in, it does give you that bias that we're going up. So it's important to give it a chance to fail, let it come down and bounce off here and push up. What I'd like is a couple of legs back to here, and then maybe a higher low. Then that would give me reason to go long. We've also got yesterday's highs up here. In fact, slightly too high. Let's bring it down a fraction. What's that off? Anyway, that's better. I always usually put them in yesterday's high. There's yesterday's lows. They're in the right place. Might be a touch low, but I've got a feeling we're not going to get down here. But so that's something you got to just take into consideration as well. You got your 1 point. Good on you, mate. Where'd you go long there? Did you? Yeah, I don't think it's bad. If you know what you're doing, then I think that's okay. But for me, that's indicating I'm just a bit extra cautious at the moment. Let's just adjust that a fraction. Okay, that's nice in there. Be interesting to see what happens here. But I didn't expect that to push up. I thought it'd come back and retest before it went higher. But I kind of hope it does get up here, because that'll confirm this side as well. And that means it's not lost any of its strength. And then if we can get back over here, that's where I'll be interested to take a long, hopefully when the EMA and the channel and the range sort of interconnect somewhere around here, be nice. So, but that's gone up nice and strong, that has. So that looks okay to me. Okay, right up to yesterday's lows. Could have had more points. Trouble is, Sam, don't beat yourself up about that, mate, because you never know. It might have gone up 5 ticks and come down on you, and then you'd be wishing you'd have taken you know what I mean? So hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we all had hindsight, we'd all make a fortune, but you never quite know, mate. So sometimes you're always best off decide what you want to go for and stick with it. I wouldn't have been going for a lot if I'd have taken that one. I'd have maybe got up to here, maybe a point. I think a point was sensible. I'd like to get up closer to here, really, because that's quite nice, strong momentum. That is, I like that. It's got legs, that has. So eventually, it's going to run out of legs, and it's going to do it soon. And if it is a channel which is starting to look like, I'd like to sort of get round to sort of over here somewhere before I think about going long. But there's nothing you could do up there. But I'd like it to get close to the top at least. Let's bring that top in as much as I can. So once you have these, all this makes sense then, doesn't it, really? If you'd known we've been in an uptrend, you may have taken that one, you may have taken that one, you may have taken that one. But until we sort of really know, because when that came down, I felt for sure we were going to retest here and then come down, but it just goes to show it's just a bit too early, really, to know what's going on. 1 minute it looks like a range, and now obviously it's a completely different theory. $200 of the NQ. God, I had to play around with that NQ the other day. God, it's scary. The NQ's for real men. It's too rich for my blood. It moves that bloody quick. Yeah, the NQ is almost got a life of itself, isn't it? A life of its own. It moves really quick. Yeah, you've got to have real balls to trade that. I like this. It's a little bit slower for me. I have had to play around with it. I have tried playing around with 2, but in all fairness, because, you know, these markets with the 2000 tick chart move quite quickly, you've got to make quick decisions, and sometimes when you're looking at 2 different charts, it's hard to focus properly, so I'm trying to roll back and bring it back to basics. I've got rid of bookmap. See, sometimes I think it's... I had a message from Mac about this, and he said it's normal when you're quite new to look for, you know, things to help you, things to give you confidence. It's normal to do that. So don't worry about it. Just go with it. And I've decided to roll back to basics and get rid of that. I've got rid of the 1000 tick chart, so I'm just focusing on the one thing, really. There's plenty enough movement in these to make a decent living. Let's hire sphincter attack. I think you needed a training NQ, didn't you? Or extra sets of underwear during your trading session, put it that way. Okay, so I expect you to retest this at some point. I just hope we get a little bit higher, but I think that's high enough. The trouble is, the higher that goes, when we're getting close to this, you're going to get out at some point. You're not going to wait till the last minute, and obviously, you know, we'll get up so high and everyone just takes a profit then, doesn't it? Unless you're looking at a bigger picture, you've taken it down here. I am trading EAS and NQ now at the same time. Good for you, mate. If you can do it, good on you. But I'm using different chart strategy when trading it. Yeah. For me at the moment, I think I need to focus on one thing because I've had a few little hiccups, so I'm trying to give myself less to do, in effect. Trying to concentrate one thing at a time. But if you can trade two, credence to you. Okay, so we've got a leg down here. I'd like to see two legs, and I did mention I'd like it around where the top of this channel meets, sorry, the top of the range meets the channel, somewhere around here. So I'd like to have one leg and another leg back. I think that's the ideal place to take a trade from. You've been busting so many, but yeah. I tried a few of them myself, Rhodium, because they move quick, and I'm thinking maybe if I can get a good move with 10 contracts, I can hit me $3,000 quickly. And yeah, you do break them quick, don't you? 10 contracts, literally in a matter of seconds, it can bust you, can't it? So yeah, I agree. So this is looking positive. So we got this. I think clearly now we're moving up. We've as long as we can push higher, but I'd like to see another leg down here to this area here, because I think that is like the golden cross, if you like, to take a trade. It's going to be around about where the EMA is, and it's going to be where these two interchange. So a second entry long, that would interest me. Because that's nice and strong and nice and steady, but it's going to run out of legs up here. It's bound to, especially after the first break, and then obviously everyone dumped, hence it came down pretty quickly, but then it's stalling a bit. I like what it's doing here. It may not even come back, it may just push up, but I'm hoping it does, to around about here. I'm certainly not getting in at the moment, because no, my luck, if you do take that trade, it could come down, stop you out, and bounce, and off it goes. So you've just got to sit tight, and if it means letting it go, there's nothing you can really do about that. See, there is always the possibility that this may be there, that may be there, and those two. So that's a possibility as well. It would get it closer to there. So, yeah, mixed feelings here. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I kind of liked it how it was. Let's just put it back for a minute, because I kind of like that. Yeah, I prefer that angle, actually, I do. Yeah, that angle looks better to me. Just the way it fits. It was a bit too steep the other way around, I think. Let's put that there. There we go. I like that. Touch, touch. Yeah, I prefer the angle of that one. The other way's too steep for me. Okay, so leg. Maybe we're going to get another leg here. Leg and leg gets down to this area. That's where I want to be, ideally. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. High or low. That trade yesterday that quite a few people missed, I remember saying, I tend to, where was it? When we had that first break, that one there, second leg down. I said when we have a break, and it was a break in my opinion. When we have a break now, I like to, because I've failed a lot of those. When we have a break, I like to wait for a higher low. If you look back on the video, you remember me saying that, because there's something about that I didn't like, and quite a few people on the Facebook group got triggered there. I don't even think you got a point out of that. If you went there, no, you'd have had to push through there, so you wouldn't have got a point there. If you'd have managed to get any lower, I don't know whether maybe you take that as a engulfing, but Mac didn't mark it, so for me that was a risky trade. Something about it I didn't like it. I don't know what, but I tend to wait for the high low after a break now, because I've failed them so many times, and I tend to not like them now unless it looks like a perfect measured leg. a perfect leg, then I may take it. But whether we're going to get back here or not, I'm not sure. We've got a leg up, a little bit of sideways. I think we're going to have another push up, which I don't mind if we can get a bit higher. That's fine, but that looks like a leg to me, and a leg. Leg, sideways leg. I am going to draw a small channel there just in case we go off on one. One up here. There's that yesterday's highs again seem to be possibly playing a part. Does make you wonder whether that's random or not. I'd have said it's not, by the way. You've got 3 bars there, just below there. Have I got that accurate? Let's have a look. Yeah, I have. So maybe that's playing a part. Yesterday's highs. Something's going on there, isn't it? There as well. Okay, so we've not got a new high, or is that a double top? It may be, actually. Yeah, so there's a double top there. So I'd like to see it come down here and then get a higher low before I go long, because so many times I've gone into trades thinking, yeah, we're going higher, and then all of a sudden it struggles to get up here, and then all of a sudden, boom, down it drops. It did something like that yesterday. Yeah, I've got a lifetime license as well. £1,000 it cost me. It's expensive, isn't it? I only used it literally in the first 6 months. I haven't used it since, so it's always there if I need it. I have got a relative, a brother-in-law who started to learn to trade a bit, and I have offered him my license because I'm just not using it at the moment. At least that way you can trade on a demo without... because unless you buy the license, you don't have this. I think you get 14 days, but you can't use the automated trading. Or that used to be the case a couple of years ago. Whether it's changed or not, I'm unaware of it. Yeah, that's what I'd have done myself. In all fairness, I'd have spent 12 months on a sim. I think that's what you need to do. Spend the first year on a sim. And then when you start to understand a bit what's going on and you can get maybe, I don't know, above 70% win rate, then go for it. That's what I'd have done. The trouble is, when you're trading, you hear all these stories of money and everyone wants to try and run before they can walk, and you learn the hard way. I did. Hence, I lost so many, blew so many accounts. But I have said to my brother-in-law I would stick to a demo for 12 months until you feel like you know what you're going on. It's okay getting a few winning trades in a row and thinking, okay, now I want to make some money. It just does not work that way. Trading is way more difficult than it seems. You know, you might have a week or two of just pretty straightforward trades. I've had them before. But then all of a sudden things get complicated. And we know how difficult trading's been. It's been better this last few days, in my opinion. There's been a few more setups, but we had some real stale, unpredictable, choppy stuff. And that's where this business gets tough. That's when you need to exercise that discipline and stay out. But when you get easy days and you jump into these trades and then all of a sudden you get some choppy stuff, people still jump in, that's where you get chopped up. So my opinion, if anybody said to me, you know, how would you recommend me, you know, to progress, I would say stick on a demo or sim for 12 months at least, because it really does take that long even just to get to grips with it and maybe to start getting. And I would say when you maybe get to an average of 70% win rate, then maybe you can start thinking about, you know, because Also, another part of trading is the psychological side. So you have to have experience of that. You can't, in my opinion, if you did 10 years on a sim and got to be a perfect trader and then you switch straight over to real money, it would affect you. You wouldn't be the same trader, in my opinion. So as well as experience in learning the system and learning the setups and the context of the market, you have to have experience of trading with real money, because that makes a difference as well. You know, once you start having real money. I remember watching, what's his name? Wilson. A year or so ago on a sim. Wilson killed it. Absolutely killed it. I looked at that trade and thought, this guy knows what he's doing. And then when he started trading on evaluations, he'll admit himself he's found it difficult. And when you start putting money in the mix, it does change the dynamics of it. You did 3 years on a sim. Absolutely sensible, mate, yeah. I think you need to go on a sim until you have a period of 3 months maybe where you're making a good, you know, win to loss ratio maybe of 70%. You know, I think good traders in this business, maybe people like Daniel, or will be pushing maybe, you know, 95%, maybe a bit more in some cases, maybe a bit less. But if you can get above 90%, you're a good trader, in my opinion. I have weeks where, or months where I've had 80, 85, 90%, and then I'll get a couple of days where I'll do stupid trades, you know. But I would say if you can get a good average, a good batting average of maybe 70%, then I think it might be time then to get some experience with real money. And then I would just say, you know, Wilson's true. He's finding it difficult, like we all are. But the trouble is, once you trade with real money or even evaluations, it's the same thing. Once you start putting proper skin in the game, it affects your psychology. You don't trade the same. So, in my opinion, you can't just spend years and get to be a brilliant trader on a sim and then expect to jump straight onto money and find it just as easy. It doesn't. You have to have that next level of experience with trading with some form of risk. Excuse me, because you've also then, as well as getting used to learning to trade, you've got to get used to learn to deal with the psychological side of it, which in itself is a whole separate section. But I remember looking at Wilson a year ago and thinking, I remember talking with him, with a buddy of mine, Marlon, and he was saying Wilson's killing it. But yeah, Wilson will get there. He's committed. He keeps trying, he keeps plugging away, and it's people like that will eventually get somewhere. But you're going to lose accounts, you're going to blow accounts many, many times. But what I say is, when you get that pain of it, and it is pain sometimes, I blew those 4 accounts, and that's the 3rd time I've had tears in my eyes in the 30 years I've been with my wife. So it's painful. And I mentioned this to Mac, and Mac went, remember what it felt like. So I try and think about how I felt every day. And I believe at some point, it's the revenge trading that does it. I think if you can get to the stage where you're above average trader, as long as you only blow accounts with losing trades that you believed were genuine setups, all you've done there is failed an account out of lack of experience. But if you're blowing accounts due to revenge trading, it doesn't matter whether you've been doing it 2 months or 20 years, you're going to blow an account by revenge trading. So you need to stop that ultimately. You need to sort of set yourself maybe 2 losses a day and then walk away. It's easier said than done. I struggle myself. But, you know, I did it and avoided it for up to 9 weeks with my 4 accounts. And then I had those 2 losses, quite large, $700, and I could not help myself to jump in. But now I've had that pain, and it was the most painful thing I've felt since I started trading, and I don't want to feel like that again. So the fact that I had that pain is a good lesson for me. So, you know, if you are blowing accounts, don't be too hard on yourself. In fact, yeah, be hard on yourself, because it might make you stop. But it's not easy. And I had that Money Max guy say to me the other day, oh, you're never going to get anywhere, you're a gambler or whatever, something stupid like that, which is just it's the worst thing to say to someone. Some people just seem to want to be mean and be nasty, but there's no need for it. So if anybody does ever give you any grief, just try and block them. Or at the moment, I've stopped the comments on the after the videos, because he just keeps putting arsey comments. He just kind of wants to make your life miserable. But I have been warned about him by a couple of people. He tries to make you miserable and then offers you his help for a fee of $250 a month, which I'm not paying. So I've just blocked him out of my head for a bit. Dre, how you doing, bud? Have we spoke before? Dre, not sure. You a new face? Are you a new face? Someone asked me yesterday, actually, watch a stream on the Facebook group, because I think some people in the Facebook group don't know I stream. And there was someone that mentioned yesterday. I was half expecting him. It was me. Ah, Ryan, of course it was. Yeah, there we go. As soon as you mentioned your name, Ryan, I thought, yeah, okay. Yes, I started by putting here I am. How you doing, bud? I started by putting a little advert on there, but I stopped in the end because I seem to be getting plenty, and I'm not after millions of people. Just, some people to just, throw some ideas off, and, You've been here before a while ago. Yeah, I seem to remember, sometimes just a little icon, I seem to remember. But welcome back, and welcome, Ryan. It's nice. I like to get to know other traders. I do. I speak to a few people on the phone now and again. A couple of times a week I chat with people on the phone just about ideas. The trouble is, you try talking to your wife about trading, it goes in one ear and out the other. So trading is as well as something I'm trying to make a job of. It's a hobby as well, so I like chatting about it. But nice to hear someone's voice live. Yeah. I'm quite a wired person, and I'm not one of those ones that sits in a room and thinks quietly in my head about stuff. I like to talk about it, because if I talk through the problem, I can tend to hear it a bit clearer. So you will hear me just yabber on sometimes, so feel free to just turn down the volume. But I like talking because it helps me process what's going on, and if it helps me, it may help some of you guys. Because sometimes if I talk about things that I've experienced, it rings a bell for some of you guys. So this for me is about helping everybody. I like the fact that people are watching me, because I'm less likely to do something stupid. If people are watching over your shoulder at your normal day job or whatever, you try and behave yourself, don't you, and do a good job. So yeah, I trade. Well, I've been trading full time, but I've been building accounts and taking withdrawals from this year. I've had $10,000 from Apex so far this year, but the trouble is, I'm taking them out and my accounts are getting vulnerable, then I'm not giving them a chance to build. So I thought I'd go back to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday from next week onwards. So it'll just be trading Monday to Thursday. And then when I can get these two accounts to maybe 8,000 each, then I'll go back to full time again, and I can just withdraw $2,000 out of each. And that will give me a wage then with a nice comfortable buffer. And that's when I'll start to build a few more accounts, and I can not touch them, just let them build. I might add another 3 accounts then, but the plan is to get them up to 8,000. So I think 8,000 is a reasonable enough. I'll withdraw 2, then I've got 6,000 in each, which I think's a relatively comfortable buffer. And then the plan is to take maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000, maybe 1,500. I'll see if I can make over 2,000 in a month. Then I may take 1,500. I still want to grow the account, because obviously as that account gets to 10,000, maybe 15,000, then you could start scaling up your contracts. So I'm just trying to not rush too much this time. I think we've all heard that trading, you can make a lot of money, but you can't. It's not a rush job. It takes time. So we clearly got a channel going up there, but we haven't really got back to the EMA yet, or I'd like to retest this again. So this is the area I really want to trade, not here. There's nothing up there really. I don't know, you may have taken that one. The trouble is, you're at the highs there. It's a way away from the EMA, so that looks like a small channel with a break and a new high. There is a possibility it may be bigger, but I think it's a safe option to Just put it like that at the moment. Or it could be like that. It could be a bunch of different ways. Let's put it like that because we've had a break. I think it's always, if you think you've had a break, it's always best off to assume you've had, because at least that way then you can maybe give it time to come down if it wants to after that break in a new extreme. That Max fella started, contact me, told me he charged me £200 per hour. Yeah. I kept saying no. And the last time I went, like, I'm not interested. I don't know whether you've been doing it, 2 months or 20 years. I'm not paying, blah, blah, blah. And he started being a bit arsey then. He started, putting some negative comments. That's why I had to get rid of the comments after the videos. Because he put something out, you're just going to be a gambler. I don't know. It's not the best way to guilt someone into paying your money, isn't it? But a couple of people have warned me about him. And I think they nicknamed him Money Max. I think probably you'll know this, Ryan. Somebody mentioned it. Was it? I don't know who it was. Somebody mentioned it about a week ago about him. One of his mates had paid him or something. I forget what it was now. But let me have a look. Who was the guy? I'm just flicking through it now. I have to go, but I'm in the green. Good on you, mate. Have a good weekend, pal. Just flicking from your phone now to see who it was. Here's another guy who's looking good. Jope. He's been doing it a few years now. I used to speak to him quite a bit when I started. He's turned into quite a nifty trader. He's a nice fella as well. Haven't come across him, but yeah, saw the comments. Yeah, you will, mate. He gets round to everyone sooner or later. Oh yeah, Trader Strange put it on. This is the scammer Max. He's charging people $250 a month to access the Discord. He's got a special sticky on Max forum. Don't give him any money. Max teaches it for free on YouTube almost every day. Yeah, he sent me a message. I took a photo of the message. It was a bit... I mean, you've got to be confident, but there's blowing your own trumpet a bit too much, isn't there? I forget where it was now, but... He said he's one of the few people that can harness the power of... I forget what words he used. He's one of the few people, apart from Mac, that can harness the power of price action trading. And that... if I didn't join him and let him help me, then I didn't deserve to be successful. some crap. Something under those lines. But I like the fact we're coming back here now, so this is where we want to be looking. So, but we just got to check that it's not going to come back on us. So, want to break in a new low and then maybe a higher low to indicate we're going back up, because it's looking okay so far. Sometimes if you're not sure about these and you squeeze them together a bit, it looks a bit better, but that looks all right actually. Sometimes though, the further away you come from here, the less momentum, but it's two good strong pushes there, so I think it's about time we came back. And it may just rocket straight up, but can't take it really until it has a break, maybe a new low, and then maybe... I always like to wait for the higher low now. I'm not a fan of taking it unless we have a perfect second entry, then I'll take the first one. But after these, sometimes I wait for the higher low. It stops me getting trapped sometimes. Yeah, we got some really warm weather in the UK at the moment. Well, warm for us, 29 degrees centigrade at the moment. And considering it hasn't been above about 21 over the summer, it's been a bloody awful summer, but when all of a sudden you jump up 8 or 9 degrees, you know what it's like at night. I can put up with all amount of heat in the day, but at night, it's nothing worse than having a hot, sticky night. And here in the UK, we just don't, as a rule, have air conditioning. I know you guys in the US have it a lot more, don't you? Because you just have a longer, drawn-out summers. But in the UK, yeah, shops and maybe restaurants will have them, but general households don't bother with them. We just have fans, which just blow hot air at you, really. Okay, so I'd like maybe at least a bounce off here if it's not a lower high, but as I say, it may just push up. It depends how strong that LA couldn't live with. Yeah. In fact, there's another trader I know in LA. What's his name? Oh, Marlon. I don't know if you know Marlon. Have you spoke to Marlon? Okay, definitely working next weekend. No, pretty new to fact. Ah, right, okay. In fact, like about 2 months ago. I got you. Yeah, he's not as active now. He's sort of found this slightly different way of doing it. But that's a good start. I like that. Leg down. I'd like to see a slightly new low just to touch this, or at least and then I'll be looking for a higher low there. Because the trouble is, as we've broken above here, it's always possible that it could come down. But yeah, the Facebook group, if you're quite new to it, what I would suggest to you, bud, is do your chart every day and then post your chart on the Facebook group and ask for feedback. I did that for the first year. And it does help you as well. If you get people like Daniel and Marco and that help me out, they're generally better traders they are, so they're the type of people you want to listen to. And I just Jope as well is another one. He's been doing it for quite a while now, but just put your a picture of your chart. Just you know how to do that, don't you? Just right click at the end of the day, save your chart. I do mine every day. I've got them going back 2 and a bit years. You can see them there, can't you? And then just post them and just ask for feedback. And they're pretty good actually. They're nice guys. Yeah, do it, mate. Absolutely, it's a good way to learn in there. Get some feedback. Okay, so I like that. We've come back to where I wanted to. It's literally a tick off there, and I can sort of micro adjust that to fit that perfectly. So fits. In fact, you can take that down a smidgen. Touch, 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 touch. Love that. Fitting really nice. But I'm looking for a higher low now. There is a perfect doji there, but you just got to be careful it doesn't pop out, because it could do. Could have a leg, a break, and another leg. But if we can push up from here, I'm looking for a higher low, then I'll be interested in that. But yeah, they're a friendly bunch actually. On the occasionally you get some negative comments, but some people just tell you things a bit straight. But I like to give people a little bit of support, because when you first start, it's a bit daunting. So I think sometimes you're best off just give people a bit of support and a bit of encouragement rather than negative stuff, because some people can put things over a bit negative, and it doesn't help you. You've got to give people a bit of confidence in this business. Okay, so there is a second entry along there. I prefer that to come a bit lower, but the trouble is if that pushes up here, it may create a little bit of sideways. So I always like to look for that, the lower high there, because trouble is it could trigger you there and then go a bit sideways and eventually up. So I don't think that looks too bad, but the EMA has gone perfectly flat. So I think you're best off waiting for the higher low, a little pop out, and then a retest with a higher low, and then I'm all right then. But depending on where you believe this channel to be, I'm happy that the bottom's the bottom. But if you look there, it's come away a little bit further and a little bit further, so that might mean it's losing a bit of momentum and it may have a break. But so far, that's a good sign. Both of those bars, the bottom of the wicks, have touched that exactly perfect. Exactly? Is that a word? Exactly perfect. So I like that. Are you using EMA or MA? EMA, exponential moving average. It's the 21-day we use on max price action. See how that's triggered and coming back a bit. That's not a good sign for me. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but it looks like it's going a bit sideways because there's still a little bit of, are we going to break or are we not? People want a little bit more before they go long. This for me is just a little bit EMA's flat, and it's right, and it looks like there's a bit of sideways and a bit of congestion there. So when there's congestion, you're best off just out of that, in my opinion. But if we can trigger below there, try to go one side. There's a failed second entry long there. If we can trigger that and push up, see what I mean? If you'd have taken that, you'd have got stopped out. Just started to look a little bit sideways, so you're always best to wait. See what I mean about the break? Once we start to come away from this side here, which we're doing, a bit there and a bit there, it could mean we're losing a bit of momentum. And that was my fear of coming down. That's why I left that alone. But what does that 2000 tick graphic mean? The 2000 tick, I think that's what you mean. It just means 2000 trades as opposed to 1 minute, 2 minute. It just means 2000 trades. I think that's what you mean, bud. So a leg and a leg. So there is a possibility that we could end up, depending on what that does here, we could end up having something wider, and that may be a spiking channel. Let's put that there. And funnily enough, look what's happening with the back. So in fact, that's actually, I like that. Let's have a look. Maybe not. Maybe here. Touch. And the top's finishing nice. So that happens sometimes when we pop out. There's a possibility then we got a spiking channel, but that might be a little bit high. It might look slightly different on someone else's chart, but it's maybe something like that. Touch. Still got to be a bit cautious. Excuse me, just 1 second. Sorry about that. Daughter's just stepped in. Sorry, I'm pretty new to it. No, that's okay, mate. Don't worry. We've got to start somewhere. See how those 3 bars are touching that? Look at that. I put that to where it looked like it was working and fitted at the nice at the bottom, and look at that. That tells me that maybe how I'm thinking is along the right lines. We've got a leg and a leg. Still a bit risky taking that. You got to wait for the higher low, really. But no, don't worry, bud. We've all got to start somewhere. Yeah. If you're new to trading, you're probably aware of people trading on the 5-minute chart or the hour chart or the daily chart, but it's just that I'd never heard this before I'd started trading. All it means, you can have the 1000 ticket, just means each one of these bar contains 2000 trades. And if you see this number here, it just counts down from 2000. You can, as these are counting down, these are people putting trades in, whether they're me or you or institutional traders or whatever. But when that counts down to 0, you know then that we've got another bar. So if you want to take, say, I don't know, a bar like this as a higher low, and you want to put your order 1 tick above there, it just tells you when you want to get ready to drop your order. So if you're taking a short, you want to wait for that bar to finish. So as that's counting, you can get ready with your order, and as soon as it gets to maybe, bam, you can drop it now. You know when to drop it. So it's just a different way of trading. I don't know whether it's more beneficial. Max seems to think that's it is what it is, but that's good enough for me. But I kind of like that now. I like the angle we're working in. For me, that's and the fact that that's sitting nice there. So we need to push above that EMA and then a higher low. But that looks like a leg and a leg. But it could still fail because it's a little bit congested and it's quite wicky, although it is working up, which is positive. But it could. It is possible. I'd like to see that bar trigger. If people think this is the top and we're coming down, they may. So if that triggers and we get a higher low, that might be an option. But at the moment, it's a bit congested. So everyone once in a while to go settings, icon, click playback speed and increase. It will play back fast until it catches up back to live. Yeah, see what I mean? See how that's broke there? So you just got to be a bit careful there. What I do, I'll drag this in now. It's probably going to confuse the picture. Probably has. That's what I look at it. If you get OBS, and OBS is free to download and just click record, you can record your session. So what you could even do is get your microphone and talk how you're looking through these trades. Talk about what you're seeing and what you're feeling. And then watch back. So it's OBS, it's called, and it's free. Pretty straightforward to use, and you can either stream what I'm streaming or record, so you can record your whole session. So there's a tip for you. If you do want to record, it is possible. There's a 2-tier channel there. I'm not sure at the moment. Let's leave it like that. But that's an option. Record your trading, because you can look back. And sometimes when you've got the bigger picture at the end of the day, you can go, right, yeah, I see what happened there. So we've got a leg and a leg with a break. And funnily enough, it's come down close to the top of there. So there's always the possibility that we could just have a bigger range. At the moment, I'm quite happy where it is. But it's a possibility. But yeah, this just looked a bit risky to me. You may go, oh, yeah, I'll jump in there, but look what happened. It triggered you and then just stopped you out quickly. So, funny newbies, whenever you see that type of stuff and it's just anything that looks a bit congested and unclear, best thing to do is just stay out of it. I know what it's like when you're itching to trade, but what you've got to try and do is keep filtering and filtering and filtering till you're picking maybe 1 to 3 trades. It is hard, but it's almost a way of fine-tuning it, you know? Just filtering out the shitty trades, filtering. But in all fairness, the only way you learn is to lose. So that's why you're best off stay on a demo, but you'll get trapped a bunch of times and then you'll start to learn where not to get trapped. But it's the best lesson to learn, it really is, to lose. I use 2000 tick chart along with a 20 and a 50 SMA. 1040, yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's so many different ways to trade this market. There's no one shirt fits all. You know, there's so many ways to make money out of the markets. This is just what I trade is max price action, which I think majority on here, but some people don't. And some people sort of trade just lots of different ways, but we've had all sorts in this room, all sorts on this stream. People trading all sorts. People still just tuning who are trading the Nasdaq as well. We get all sorts of stuff. So, So ordinarily, after we have a break of a channel, we normally make a new extreme or high in this case, but I'm just a bit unsure what's going on here. I'm not exactly sure whether my channel doesn't feel great. See, it's that bit I don't like. That looks okay. It's just a spike. I know we have a spike in channel, but there is always the possibility that it could be just a bigger range and it may come back down. So I'm thankful you're answering my questions. That's all right, mate. Anytime. Anytime. I got no problem with answering questions. Trust me, I'm built for bullshit. My mouth was built to work. Trust me, you'll know after a while. You'll soon get sick of hearing me and turn your volume down. Just think about my poor wife. She has to listen to it when you guys don't. Where's your Facebook page? It's not my Facebook page. It's the group's Facebook page. I shall show you. Max price action. Excuse me. My price. That's it there. There we go. That's it there. Max price action day trading Facebook. But there's quite a few people in that. Oh yeah, 5,700 members. But they're a nice bunch of guys in there. They are, and they're helpful. And when I started a little over 2 years ago, I used to put my chart in every day, put with what trades I thought were right, and then people point you in the right direction. That's how you learn. But the one you're talking about, yeah, all right. I joined. Yeah, it's good. It's good. They're all right. They're a nice bunch. They're a nice bunch of people in there. I sort of most days I have a little chit chat. Sometimes I'll post a chart. Depends. Obviously, when I'm streaming in the day and trading, it takes up a bit of your time. And if I've made a right balls up of it, I probably don't post it. But it is nice. Fortunately, I've recently upgraded my internet, my fibre. I get about 950 megabits per second, so I've managed to go up from normal latency to ultra low. There used to be about a 20-second delay, but now I believe it's 2 seconds. So at least we can talk about stuff more real time. And if I'm looking at a trade, sometimes I'll ask anybody else interested, if I'm a bit unsure myself. But it is nice to chat with a bunch of other traders. I love getting to know other traders I do, because it's an interest of mine. If I got a hobby, can't talk to your wife about it. It just goes in one ear and out the other. Or you get that look of complete boredom. See, that for me is a break, because I can't make it fit any other way, really. It is possible, but I think really you've got to treat it as a break. Sorry about that. Got annoying bikes going past the house. So as I mentioned, there is a possibility. Sorry, it could end up being just a bigger range. Why isn't that highlighting? There is a possibility it might just have hit the top of a range and it may work down. It's possible, but until we get below here and stay below here, then I'm just treating it as a channel with just a break. But now we're having another break. That's if it is a break. There is always a possibility. My channel, let's see what Matt's given us. Matt gives us a mid-morning chart every day. Most days, anyway. Let's have a look. It's usually up and out. Yeah, it's good. Someone matched with you on Tinder. Oh, I didn't even know I was on Tinder. Lucky me. I might just check out just in case she's hot. Yeah. Let's have a look. Yeah. That's interesting, that. See, Max got it from there, so I'm going to put that back. That's how I originally had it. And he had it touching there, like that. So, let's put it back. Because in all fairness, I love the angle that is. I just try to change it. Sometimes you're best off not fiddling with them. As Max says, don't monkey with them or something, doesn't he? Have a look. Yeah, let's put that about like that. Yeah, I'm just going to drag his in. So Yeah, so we had the same one, went from that one, just took the edge off there, but fits there. That's how I originally had it. So let's put it back. So that's a break. So let's see if we now try and push a bit higher. See, trouble is, there is a possibility you could do that. It's hard to say at the moment, so just for now, if it continues up, then I may adjust that, but just for now, let's just leave it like that. Not mess around. So this is a break for sure. So we've had a break. There's a higher low. If we can maybe get something else up here. Okay, so just excuse me just for 2 minutes. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. 2 minutes. Okay. So let's put that back. We do seem to be going maybe a bit sideways there. Oh. Let's put that there for now. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Maybe a triple test, but I've just not had a lot of luck with those lately. Because, as I say, there's always a possibility that... See, that's a possibility as well. That's a possibility. That might be a failed breakout. We've touched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a possibility that this is a range. And that's just a failed breakout of a range, which means it may come down. So you've got to be careful going along here. So I'm avoiding anything like a triple test to go higher here, because there could just be... I'm going to put it back for now, just at the moment. But there is a possibility that there could be a bigger range and it may come down, so people might get trapped going long here, so just be cautious of that. Leg, okay. Well, there's a leg there and a leg down here, so I have a feeling this just may be a range. Let's put that there for now. Let's take that away a minute. Touch. Yeah, I think coming back personally. So we got a leg down. There's a measured leg there. I did put it in, but I took it away. Let's put it back. Yeah, leg down. Let me just clean this up a bit. leg and a leg. So it may still push higher because we've had a measured leg. It may still push higher. But it might not. It might be a range, and the trouble is you've got to be careful going long because there is a possibility. I mean, I'm happy that it's a channel, and in most cases, after a break of a channel, we make a new extreme or a new high in an uptrend. But if there is a channel, a range, sorry, then obviously that's not going to work. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just leave it there just for a minute. See what happens. But just be cautious about going long here because there is a possibility it could, if you think leg to leg, now we're pushing up for a new high, you may get trapped. So just be aware that. Okay, we're a couple of ticks away from that measured leg anyway, so I'll get rid of it. It just makes it a bit clearer. See, that works. Touch, 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 touch. So I've got no arguments with the channel. Touch, touch. Touch one, touch twice, touch 3 times, and it's touched twice on the back. Well, 3 times if you count that. You may have it drawn like that. That's possible, but I'm not a fan of that one. I think it's more likely the bigger one because we've had 3 touches of it and twice at the backside. So this is where you need to be cautious. A short may work, but it may trigger and trap you. So just be a bit cautious here. I'm a bit unsure as to what's going on here. Whether it's a leg and a leg and now we're pushing up to make a new high, or whether to hell with that, we're coming down. I mean, we're clearly struggling to get above there, but I'm just a bit on the fence here. It's only really one leg anyway, in all fairness, so. So just be cautious about taking shorts here. See, that's tempting, but risky, I think. It may trigger and it may just drop like a stone, but I just think you need to have a bit of cautious because there is a leg and a leg. I'm not taking it. It's only really a first entry anyway. I mean, you know, it may just be a case of, oh, it's bearish. Sometimes Mac will go, it's bearish. Just take it, put an aggressive tick by it, but it's just risky in my opinion. Okay, that bar's triggered. What I think is going to happen is this. Well, I say I think it's possible, or we could get a break. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. Okay, so that has triggered. Now it may come down, but it's too risky for me. It's only a first entry really, and that bar it should have ticked above it really to get me any type of interest. But EMA is flat. It's closed above EMA. You just got to be a bit cautious there because it could pop out the top. It may be a break and it may come down or it may push up. But I've got mixed feelings about this. So is there something else going on there? It's possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches. I think we have to acknowledge that there is possible range going on as well. Okay, excuse me, I am just going to take a quick 5-minute break to make a cup of tea. So I'll just leave everything as it is. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Okay, as I suspected. So whether this is a break, could be a leg up, and it could drop back down, or it's going to push up and become a new high. That's the thing. It could do either things. Got our channel down. If we can make one attempt, if we can make another attempt to go higher, then I may consider a short there. But it's got to be a bit cautious here because there's a couple of schools of thought. We've got a channel, we've got a break, leg, and a new high. Let's just see if there is a possibility of another bigger channel. Yeah, there is. Oh, look at that. Okay, so that to me is a possible bigger channel. Right from there to there. And if you think it fits kind of nice, so you just got to be a bit cautious there that there may be something bigger. So I'm not going short or long here at the moment, because if you go long, it might come back into this channel here. That might just be a break, leg, and it might be a break. And if I go short, it might trigger me and push up and make a new high from this channel. So I'm a bit on the fence here. So what I am going to do is remove that. Just out of curiosity, let's just see. We've come back to the 38%. Yeah, we haven't come back as far as I thought we may do, but... So we've got a break of this channel, 1 leg, 2 legs, although I'm convinced this is a channel. We've got 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. This is a break. It could come down and retest this, but it might not. As we've come away from here, we've only come down so far. We've come from the top, we've come right back down. We've come from here, we've come right back down. From here, we've only come to the midline, so I'd suspect this is more likely going to retest these highs. And I do think that there is a possibility of a bigger channel there. So what I'm going to do is just kill the colour and just leave that like that. I'm going to get rid of that now because we've had a break of it. I'm just going to put a little line in there just to show where the high... We don't even need that, do we? We know where the high was. Okay, so this looks like a 2-tier channel. We've pushed up, we've worked in the top tier, we've pushed down, we've had 1 leg, 2 legs down. So that's what it is. It's trying to establish the bigger picture. 2 legs down, not quite a full measured move. But I would say now I'm thinking along the lines of a bigger channel. Kind of fits pretty good at the back, but just don't just assume I'm right, because there is a possibility. Let's put that back how that originally was, about there, but just kill the colour. No, that just confuses things. Let's get rid of it. I like that. Touch, touch, touch. Pretty good along the back. It does look like a 2-tier. We've pushed up, a little bit of sideways, and we've worked in this top tier. Couple of legs back. Just got to be a bit cautious here. It's tempting to go along there to stop out maybe. See how we've had this channel down? That's a second entry short, which is triggered. So you'll be having people thinking this is a top and that's a break. But you've got to be careful taking that, because it could trigger you and then make a lower high. So I'm staying out of this. It's a bit too far from the EMA. I'd go for that one, a leg up and a break. I'd go for that if it was a bit closer, but I think it's possibly going to take that stop up, but it may trigger by 1 tick and come down. So you just got to be a bit cautious. But it's too far away from the EMA to go long, really. I wanted that body back down here, really, but it's either going to push up and take out any shorts, because in this channel we've got 2 legs up, a second entry short and a break. So there are going to be traders that shorted that for sure, because this looks almost like 1, 2, a triple test. In fact, that does look like a triple test. So that could come down and take out them longs if you went long there. See, this is a no trade zone for me personally. I'm not 100% convinced this channel's right at the moment. I don't think it's bad. Now, if it pushes above there, then I'm thinking, okay, the channel might be more valid. But there could be some... it's a bit mixed feeling here, which is probably why we're getting a bit of congestion. Because ordinarily, a channel like that, when you have a break and 2 legs up, you were probably short from, but the bias for me is up, so I'm not looking for shorts. So, okay, you may think we got a leg up and a pullback, there's a bullish bar there. If I'm not looking for shorts, there's going to be some short traders trapped there, so I'm going to take a long here and trap them. But that's too far from the EMA, so this is just a little bit of caution. It is holding, but I'm a bit unsure here. This is a caution to go long here. At the moment, I'm more likely looking for longs than shorts. But we have had this chat. See, it could be just that channel, 2 legs back and a push up. Or it could be maybe a break, 2 pushes up to a new high and a new channel down. So that could be 2 legs up and then to go short. So I'm a bit on the fence here. So there's a lower high there. Couple of ticks off looking pretty good, but you can see there's some congestion here, so there's some mixed feelings here, so it could go either way. I've got into longs here before and I've got trapped because people have said, well, there's a downtrend, so you may have that slightly wrong. See, so it depends how you've got that. See, if you look like that, you might have said, okay, there's a channel, we got a break, 2 pushes up to a new high, now we're coming down. So there's what I'd say, if you're newish, just when you think there's a bit of caution and a bit of congestion, there's congestion for a reason, because there's mixed traders here. I'll tell you now, there'll be some who have gone long there and there'll be some who've gone short, so whoever's going to win, but someone's going to get stopped out. Now, another bit that's cautioning me about going long is that we've tried a few times to get higher, but you may say 1 push up, 2 push up, there's a triple test, there's a short there, but normally when you get a good triple test, when it triggers, it comes down quite dramatically because the market's made 3 attempts, but the overall bias is up. So I'd say it's more likely to go long, but that bar is a weak trade in my opinion. That body needs to be closer to that EMA. If it's closer to the EMA, I think more people will take it, but I'm just a bit on the fence here. Let's have a look. Did you trade 2 contracts when you built your Rhodes account? Yes, I did, buddy. Yeah. I've always traded 2 contracts. If your average loss is, say, $275, you've got to lose about 8 trades in a row before you blow an account. But most of the ones I've blown really is not because I've traded bad, because I've revenge traded. Yeah, some mixed feelings here. So that lower high triggered and it's got stopped out now. So if it breaks above there, I think the longs are okay there. But it's struggling, look. But yeah, it's just a bit of a weak signal bar, that, in all fairness. Such a bad habit to overcome, Revenge. Yeah, it is, mate, yeah. What I've identified since I've given up work and traded full time, the pressure to earn money. Now, ideally, you want to build a nice, comfortable account really before you start to take money, and that's what I've neglected to do. I've just thought, I'm starting to make money now, great, let's give up work, and I just gave up work a bit too soon. That's all. So I'm going to get back to work. I'm definitely working next Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I've already had some work offered, so that'll get me an income back in. And then I can concentrate on building accounts. When I can get these 2 accounts up to 8,000, that's when I shall give up work again. I work for an agency mainly, and there's always work, so I've got no issues with giving up and then going back. See that, can't you? So there's some shorts in there still. They haven't been stopped out yet. And there's some longs in there. So if it breaks above there or below there, we may have a little spike up or down. But I'd say the way that is still working up a bit, it's more likely to push out the top, but I could be wrong. That's the trouble with these congested areas. It could go either way, even just enough to stop out your bar. But yeah, it is a bad habit. It's just out of it's called dissociation. What you do, you dissociate yourself from the emotions when things get a bit too stressful or panicking, and then you just do things that don't follow the rules. So if you can get a grasp of it, that will massively increase the chance of you becoming a successful trader. I think it's more likely to push up now, I'm thinking, because we've got looks like a little bull flag, slight angle at the bottom. I like that. It usually means it'll push up there, and I think then when it does, yeah, it's broke above there now anyway. There'll still be some stops along here, so it needs to get another tick or two really. But I think we'll have a leg up and another leg up now. Another tick to get above here. And that one maybe. Or it could trigger some longs here, some more longs here, and then drop. That happens as well all the time, that does. I'd like to get above here. There we go. I'm alright with that now. Yeah, I'm still not a fan of what's going on. I thought after that it may go up a bit stronger, but if that ends up bullish, then I can see it continuing on up there. Excuse me just a second. Okay. There's definitely some resistance there. You can see it. Support there. It's bouncing off it. Resistance there, and there. So it's struggling. It may even come back here first to have another. Because the trouble is when you're going into that, less people want to buy there, I think. So I'd say I'd like to see it maybe come back here really, and then maybe retest this line, and that might encourage some more buyers to get in. But it's not the perfect place to buy, really. Here is. But I'd like to see it come back, I think, first, because there's definitely some resistance there. See, there's two lots of longs there. There'll be longs there. Maybe the failure. Second entry short that's triggered and pushed up. Stop that out, but it's still not pushing as strong as I'd expected because we got this a little bit of resistance here. So I'd just say there's going to be more people selling this than buying it. Trouble is, do you want to sell it there? It's a bit, because it's congested. Do you want to buy there? Because we're obviously way away from here, so which is probably why it's going a bit sideways. And it may do it for a while. This is really where you want to be buying. It's really more of a buyer's market, isn't it? But at the moment, so it's a bit. Trouble is, when you get so many longs in it, sometimes it'll just drop quickly and take all the stops out. So you've got to be careful trading around here. I can see us going up though. I can see us having a nice day today, a nice trending day today. That's what I can see. A leg up there and another leg up there, but we need to get above this resistance really. If we eventually push up, I think we will. Whether we'll come back here a bit first or go sideways to here, but I think it's likely. There's a leg up there, two legs of correction, and some more upwards. So I think it'll eventually, when it gets above here, I think it'll take off a bit then. But it's just a little bit struggling. You can see every time it's coming up close to here, it's struggling to push through because there is some resistance there. You can see it right the way along that, right where the market is now. And once we can get above it, then I think we'll tend to start moving a bit then. But it's not a huge amount of volume today. It's very low, really. Very low. Considering we've had sort of good pushes, that's extremely low, and I don't quite know why. Maybe it's just because it's, I don't know, it's the, well, maybe there's, because, you know, Labour Day, maybe there was a few had the weekend that maybe people are going to finish on the Friday, maybe have a long weekend off again, and then maybe next week get back to normal. That's looking positive now. We're starting to move a bit now. We're breaking through there now. Okay, leg, bit of a bull flag and another leg. But it does look like a two-tiered channel, so whether this will push up straight through it or whether it'll go up and then work in this tier, God only knows. Oh, it's like watching paint dry at the moment. Hello there, stranger. Next Friday I am. Yeah, I couldn't get into work quick enough this weekend, but I'm already booked for next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, it'll be just Monday to Thursday from next week onwards, just for a while, just till I can get these accounts up. The last 4 I got up, there was just too much pressure to earn. I just kept withdrawing a couple of thousand or here or there, and it's just been leaving my accounts vulnerable all the time. So the sensible thing to do would be to take, the stresses of earning money just yet out of the picture and concentrate on getting an account. Once I get those accounts up, I'm thinking around about 8,000. Then I can take a couple of thousand, and then I'm always leaving myself 6,000, and then I've got a month to trade then before I need to think about taking anything else. So hopefully a target of $500 a week isn't a lot really. It's only 2.5 trades a week. And at least then the following month you can take another 2,000. That way you're always leaving 6 in there. So, but getting it up to 2,600 is just too stressful. 3 times that, 8,000 I like, and I think that's comfortable. Absolutely, the pad in there, absolutely. You've got to have a bit of a cushion, haven't you? Otherwise it just puts too much pressure. I mean, trading's stressful enough as it is, but really, you want a nice pot. You don't want to be trading on the bare minimum, because you are. And those accounts I add up to around about 2,300 each to 4 of them, and I was a couple, maybe 2 trades away, and the pressure in taking a trade, I felt really uncomfortable. I haven't felt like that for quite a long time. And I was sort of scared to take a trade, and I took 2 stupid trades and ended up $700 down. And then I just felt like I'd had my wages ripped away from me, and I couldn't cope with it, and I ended up doing something stupid and blowing them, which was absolutely gutting, I gotta say. I've only ever blown 1 account at a time, really. But to blow 4, I know people have blown 20, but to blow 4, I found was just excruciatingly painful. So, but I feel okay now it's gone. I've accepted it. I feel perfectly fine about it. But what I've had to do was draw a valuable lesson, because there's no point in making a mistake like that and not taking lessons from it. So I had to sit down and work out what my next approach was. And the simple answer was, I can't be taking money from these accounts until they're suitably large enough to be able to stand a payment without having, because if you're trading an account and you're $200-300 away from getting money, that's stressful. If you're trading an account and you've got $8,000 in each account, there's not a lot of stress there, because you have 2 trades. It's not a major issue. You lose $600 twice in a day. You've still got 6,500 left, so you need that cushion, and obviously the more money you've got, the less the pressure you should feel, theoretically, as long as your risk management's sort of suitable. I think personally 5% maximum risk with futures. I've spoken to a few people, and I know Daniel's mentioned that 5%. So $8,000. What's that? 10% is $800. 1% is $80. If I'm risking 3 contracts, that's about 3%. I'm risking 3% there, 1 contract. So that's okay. That's comfortable. That is. Can hand me... Oh, absolutely it can. Put it this way. Now, I think I'm a big, rough, tough guy, like most guys do, when maybe we're not always, but I've been with my wife now for 30 years, and the other day is the first time she's in... The third time since we met that she's seen tears in my eyes. When my daughter was young, she had a bit of an accident. Fortunately, she was fine, but that brought tears to my eyes. When my mum passed away about 7, 8, 9 months ago, a little bit, and then when I lost those accounts. So it just goes to show how much they mean to you, and how much hard work it takes to build these accounts. And it is a shame just to throw them away with just a moment of madness, but it's part of it. It happens. And you gotta move on, haven't you? Really? Yeah, trading scale. I hadn't really experienced that up until I got those accounts quite large. I seemed to go from being careless to being just really overcautious, and I think it felt more uncomfortable being overcautious than careless. But yeah, and I think the secret is that the more money you got in those accounts, the more comfortable you are. The more 1, 2, 3 or 4 trades in a row losses aren't going to affect you, and that's what you want to do. Really. It's the only way to do it. But I think it's natural when you've spent a couple of years trading and you've got the chance to earn some money from it. You don't think about, is my account going to be comfortable after you? You just think, show me the money. And that's what I did. Last time, with these 4 accounts, they're up to about $9,000 between them. 2 of them had a little bit more in, and I withdrew $1,000 from each because I thought I'll leave $1,600 in. But the trouble is, it's when you've got to take a regular wage. Now, it's okay saying, well, you've always got to take wages out. Well, that's true, but you do it when you've got a nice, comfortable buffer. Not when it's at its bare minimum, because you're asking for trouble really there. So yeah, you retrace today. I believe that helps. Retrace today. You mean go over what happened? Is that what you mean? I can usually tell if you're revenge trade. I don't think you need to go back on your day, do you? Because you know what went wrong. But I always look at people like Marco or Daniel and Max chart and compare them to mine, what I thought was a good trade and so on. I do that every day. Well, it's usually early hours of the morning when I wake up. If I wake up at night, I'll usually, because Matt usually puts his up around about 1 in the morning UK time, so I always just flick through. There was a trade I took yesterday, a short here and a long around about here, and he marked them both. So I kind of like his just his, did Matt take them? That's good enough for me. But yeah, I mean, it was quite clear what I did. I stopped the stream after I'd had those 2 losses, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. Market was going down, and I went click, click, click 3 times stupidly, because I thought, okay, I'm down 700. If I click 3 times, if I get 2 points, 2.25 points, I've got all my money back. Stupid thing to do, I know, but it's what we do sometimes. So I clicked sell 3 times. I thought, if I get 2 points, I'm back to square one. And as soon as I did it, market started to turn and went up and up and up and up and up. And in the end, that was it. I remember the feeling when it was about $200 or $300 away from blowing. I had my hands in my head going, please, please, please. It was horrible. And I'm quite glad I've experienced it, because it was bad enough to not want it to happen again. So I know I've now got the skills to be able to build an account, because I've done it 4 times. I still have my problems. I still have hiccups. I still take trades sometimes, because you've got to think quick, haven't you, sometimes when markets are moving fast. We don't, they're not always slow like today, but sometimes you've got to make quick decisions. And until you're really experienced and you've been doing this for years, you're still going to take stupid trades that 1 second don't look too bad, and all of a sudden, and then things change, and before you know it, you're in and out and lost, and you wonder what went on. But you're still going to make stupid trades sometimes. But as we get more experienced and more comfortable with seeing this price move day after day, that becomes less and less. It goes without saying, the longer you've been doing it, the better you're going to get. It's the same as any job. But yeah, it is uncomfortable, but I'm kind of glad it happened in a way, because I'd much rather it happen on 4 accounts than 10 accounts. But what I have decided to do, if I can build up to 10 accounts, is separate them. I don't want to trade all 10 at the same time, because if something goes wrong, if I get stuck in a trade or something messes up, at least you've got half of your trades left. But to put all your eggs in one basket, I don't know if anybody's had problems with
order submitted,
these sticking on orange lately. They have been occasionally, which is why I always open mine up way away and move them a couple of times. But sometimes they've been sticking and you haven't been able to close them down, and I'm concerned I get in a trade and something goes wrong, or I don't know, maybe get one of those weird black swan events where something happens. I suppose the good thing about natural disasters is they filter through the market over minutes, whereas if there's a news event and everyone's sat with a finger on the button, everyone is expecting it, they know when it's happening. But with a natural disaster, it goes around the world quickly, obviously with social media and excuse me, in the digital era, but it takes maybe minutes, and that's enough for it to hit your stop. But if you had a trade like that and all of a sudden market dropped by 50 points, and I've had a 2-point stop and the market's dropped and taken me out for 4 points. So if we have a real black swan event that's dropping like this, if there's no buyers, you can't get out of a trade. So I always think it's, if you've worked hard to get up to 10 or 20 accounts, I think it's best to split them up. I think you're maybe not going to make as much money, but if you can get 2 lots of 10 accounts, you're going to make more than you'll ever need, I think, aren't you? And you can always take some of your profits and do some of your own account as well. So if you can trade and build, then you've always got options to make more. In playback, no, I haven't actually. I don't even know how to do it. Is it in playback mode? What is it, in tools or something? No, I've never done it. Fortunately, because I stream, I can always just flick back that way and just speed it up. But if I take a trade that goes against me, I pretty much know now why it happened. It's in connections. I'll have to have a look at it. Yeah, if I take a trade now and it goes against me now, I pretty much know. It's rare I have to post it and find out what went wrong. I've been doing it a couple of odd years now, so you pretty much know where you went wrong. But what have we got here? We've got a leg up. That looks to me like 2 legs of correction. And it looks like it's moving up. So I expect it to continue up, maybe for another leg. But it's really slow today. You can trade 3 months back, really. Let me know. Oh, you mean sort of practice trading on an account in the past? Is that what you mean? Pick a day like a week ago and retrade it or relook. Is that what you mean? I think that's what you mean. Oh, Sam, how you doing, bud? I think that's what you mean. Retracing history. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah. I have heard of that, yeah, but I've never... I know perhaps I need to look into it. Most of my past in trading I'll try and forget about. But this is interesting. Leg, break, leg. So let's see if we bounce here. I never usually take this first one. I like to take the higher low. Just in case I got this channel wrong. Because there is always a possibility that we may be looking at this. That's always possible, and the way that's sitting there, I might go along here and it may drop back into here. So I don't think it is. For me, it looks like it's moving up, but a reason to not take a trade is because of that. Now, if we have a nice bullish bar here and then a higher low, then I may take a trade. And even then, if it is a range, it may at least get me up close to the top of here for a couple of points. So there is a possibility that it could be like that. Steve, anyone know how to take particles from Ninja? Particles? How you doing, Steve? I don't even know what that is, mate. Particles. Is I said that right? Particles? Particles from Ninja Trader. I'm not sure. You might have to fill in the blanks there, mate. I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. Get your wife out and try it as well. Well, funny enough, about maybe 7 or 8 months ago, when I was revenge trading, I asked her to sit next to me one day. She sat next to me reading the book, and I was revenge trading right in front of her eyes, and she didn't have a clue what I was doing. So it doesn't work really. My wife Rachel, she's not like me. She won't be able to put in the time and the commitment. She's quite different than me, so no, she's quite got a different personality to me, so she wouldn't be able to sit here all day and do this. But no, I have had her up sat next to me, and I'm trying to explain it, but it's just going in one ear and out the other. She's got no interest at all, none whatsoever. Say you have 2 lots and you want to take profit from. Okay, what you can do is, if you say,
order submitted.
Let's have a look. If you have, I don't know if you can't split this up. I don't think. Decrease price. So, if you've got 2 orders here and you've just pinned them together, you can split them up and come out of one. I think that's what you mean. But you have to have 2 orders there.
Order cancelled.
So, yeah, if you've bought one and you've bought again and you drag them up together, you can split them apart and just cancel one part of them. I think that's what you mean. Yeah. I think that's what you mean, bud. So I'm guessing you don't trade futures then with lots, do you? What are your currency, or you stocks or something? I'm not sure. I traded with lots when I first started with currency a few years ago. Lots and pips, isn't it? Pips with currency, I think. It's been a while. But yeah, if you've got multiple ones, you can split them. I don't think you can split one.
Order
there's
submitted.
no way of splitting that, I don't think. It's a shame, really, that you can't split these into 2 or even into 4, because if you could split it into 4, you could trade 3 parts as a scalp and 1 part as a runner. Because I know some people who trade runners,
order
but I know
cancelled.
Max says, who sort of runs our price action, said really you don't want to be trading any more than 25% of your lump sum. In the case of contracts, you would want to be trading 4 contracts and have 1 of them as a runner and 3 as a scalp. But obviously, if I haven't got the luxury to trade that many, so it's a shame you can't have some way of dividing that 2 into 4, the 2 contracts into 4 equal half-point parts. You know what I mean? You trade micro. Oh, okay. Yeah, the thing is about micros. It's the cost of. Thank you. It's the cost of the fees that amount up with micros. But the good thing about micros is you could trade 20 micros and trade 30 of them scalp and then run the last 5. But if you're trading 20 micros, you might as well trade a contract or 2. But it's the fees that put me off trading micros. The fees are ridiculous compared to the minis. I think you lose about 20%, don't you? Something like that. The fees $1 or something like that. And what is a point? A point in the micro is $5, isn't it? So it's about 20 or 25%. Hey, DJ. I wondered whether you were there somewhere. Are your good ladies above you? Why did you give out Andrew Lockwood? Probably the same as most of you. Michael Chin's fault. See, with currency, I got 4 monitors. I had 4 monitors. I have 4 monitors now. One of them got damaged a while back. But the trouble is, so with currency, I had one. Yeah, it's like 20%, isn't it? It's quite a lot that for a micro. I had see what I would do in the mornings if I was trading. Can't trade it at the moment. If I was trading with currency, we had a piece of software called the strength indicator, and what it would do is find a strong currency against a weak currency, and hey presto, you've got a trend. Strong currency, weak currency, it gives you a trend either up or down. And then I would pick certain currency pairs, and then so I would have multiple currency pairs on a screen, and I would have the 1 hourly time frame and the 4 hourly time frame for each of them. I would also have another screen where I would be looking at the rest of the majors and the rest of the minor currency pairs just to see if something happens. I'd have my main screen where I would have any trades I was taking, and then I would have another screen where I use a platform called MT4, MetaTrader 4, and I would have that with you'd have screens galore, and I found you spent more time. There's a nice high low there. It's got to be a bit cautious here. I'd spend most time just looking for trends, and all of a sudden I saw that Michael Chin trading one chart, one time frame, and in and out of a trade. And you guys can tell by the way I talk, and you know me by now, I'm quite a wired person, and I haven't got the patience to sit there all day in a trade or to swing trade for a couple of days. I like to be in and out, so this just suited me. I went from using 4 screens and sometimes with a laptop to trading on one screen, and it just works for me. This does. But I do like Andrew Lockwood. He's moved to a separate thing now. He does his own thing, City Traders. Dean, the bias is down at the moment. See, my bias is up at the moment because from 9:30 UK time this morning to 5 o'clock UK time today, we're going up, with the exception of 1-2 legs of correction. Until we break down, retest and come down, I'm not looking to take any shorts at the moment, although I am aware that there is a possibility of this, but until it starts to look more like a range, I have dropped that in a couple of times, and I may leave it there actually until we come down and we can forget about this. Then I might be thinking of shorts, but at the moment, leg up, 2 legs of correction. I'm leaving things at the moment because, well, I don't know what's going on at the moment anyway. But yeah, that's why I gave up. But Andrew Lockwood's a very good trader. He's been trading for 30 years. He started on the London Stock Exchange during the 80s when everything was done in trading pits with, hand signals and sheets of paper. And I think he was working in Singapore at early 2000s, and he helped them set up their first sort of main computer systems where people started to trade, and then he realised he wanted to trade. He's got a house in London. He wanted to trade his own pot. He'd obviously made money over the years. But he's a nice guy. He's very, very stable, very grounded. It constantly talks about risk management. Everything's about risk management. So he's learnt the proper way. And I know we do some stupid stuff sometimes, but obviously institutional guys, I believe some of the big companies even trade down to as little as 0.5%. Yeah, that may be the case, mate. At the moment, I'm just watching at the moment, but we've had this uptrend with a couple of legs of correction and some more uptrend. But I don't know. See, that's the type of comment I'm trying to avoid reading at the moment. Not out of disrespect for you, but sometimes people say we're doing this or we're doing that, and you don't know whether it's an opinion that's formed over the 2 months they've been trading or they've been trading for 20 years. But sometimes if you get different opinions in your head, that's why I started disconnecting the comments while I was trading, because if you've got multiple people saying they think we're doing this, they think we're doing that, it starts to make you a bit confused. And I don't mean that in a picky way, Dean, at all, but sometimes it's better to... really, you've got to form your own opinion and stick to what you believe's right, because if you've got 5 different people telling you 5 different things, you don't know what the hell you're doing, and that's, you know what I mean? Why don't you believe the second and third touch of your uptrimmed is valid? Why don't I believe? Why don't you? I do. Is that what you mean? I do think it's valid. But if we're in an overall range day, it doesn't mean it can't, you know. So at the moment, I don't know what I'm doing at the moment. It could be a leg and a leg. It could be doing a bunch of stuff. I'm asking why. Why do you? See, this is the type of comments I don't like getting into too much. I add it. I don't say I do, and I don't say I don't. Me and you always seem to have this, Brant, for some reason. I don't know why. Initially, I had it like that, which is the way Mac had it. Like that. Initially, I had it like that, okay? Then we had a break and a push-up, so I moved it a bit like that, thinking there is a possibility. So I'm a bit on the fence as to what to do. That's why I've took the colour at it, because I'm uncertain. Just curious. Well, what I've decided to do is if I think something else is happening, I'll change it, but I'll take the colour out of it, which means I'm on the fence. But I am aware, and I've mentioned it, that there is a possibility after we've pushed down here that this could be a range day. But that's initially how I had it. I think it was like that, was it? Or was it like that? I can't remember. I can't remember now. I think it might have been like that. 1, 2. That was initially I had it. Then we had a break, and then I spent quite a bit of time talking, to be fair, but I just put it like that out of curiosity. When we started pushing up, I put it like that and thought, okay, so maybe we've got 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch, and then we're pushing up, something like that, which was possible, but obviously we've just turned tail now, haven't we? So once we started pushing up, if we got across here, I did mention if we got here, then I'd take that channel a bit more valid then, and I'd add some colour to it. But initially I had it, I think it was about like that, somewhere around about there, I think, initially. But then we had 2 legs, and I was assuming we were going to push up, but I wasn't taking a long, because I did mention that I'm aware that it could be a range, and I've drawn this range in a couple of times, but now we're pulling back, then I'd say, yeah, it possibly is a range. But there's always a possibility we've had this leg up, and we may get 2 legs back, and then another leg up. Who knows? But I'm a bit on the fence here. We've got an overshoot here, which could indicate going up. So I'm just, I put it like that because I thought we were going up, and then I change things as things change and develop. But I've just been chatting really. But yeah, that's where I had it initially. I think Matt's got it like the same way. But sometimes we'll have a break and it'll push up and it'll move into a new channel. So it's it's a matter of trial and error, really, isn't it? But there is an overshoot there, so maybe it wouldn't be the first time we've had a break out of a channel and it pisses around for 20 minutes before it eventually works up higher. So I'm not interested in trading any of this because it's above the EMA, it's below the EMA, it's above, it's below, it's above, it's below. It's just a bit confusing at the moment. But it does look like the range might be a bigger picture. The trouble is, until you actually break it and retest it a few times and look like it's struggling to get through, it's hard to fathom exactly what it is. See, initially I had that there at the time, and then when we broke off and retested, I'm thinking, okay, forget the range, so I ditched it. But then when we came back, that to me looks like 1 leg and 1 leg, and I expected another push up. But then when we've come up to this high and it's struggled to get here, then I'm thinking there, which works. So it's at the moment it's just up down, it's up down, it's just unpredictable at the moment. So the reason I didn't think that was a down channel, because we had a break of it, we had 2 legs up and a bearish bar which triggered and pushed higher. Now I thought if that's a range and that's coming back into the range, it's going to go short there. We got 2 legs, a break, we touched 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So we confirmed this channel and we confirmed it at the bottom. So I'm thinking, okay, channel. But then we had that push up and I'm thinking there could be this big channel with 1 leg and 2 legs, and this may be pushing up to a new high, which was why I didn't even think about taking a short there. So I'm a bit mixed here. I adjusted that to there because it was a possibility there could be a bigger channel, but at the moment I'm just adjusting things and moving around, seeing what fits, what looks better, just to give me an idea of what's going on. But at the moment, you know, things are like things are starting to look more like a channel again. Sorry, a range again. But we have had a bit of an overshoot there, so who knows? Who knows what's going on at the moment? Yeah, I know what you mean, Dean. Yeah, just talking bias, yeah. See, at the moment, see, as we've had this leg up there, that's initially how I had that, and I had that like that. 1 leg down and 2 legs down. So in a lot of cases, we'll have a channel up, we'll have 1, 2 legs up, and then when we come up and add another bounce there and push up, and we pushed up through the MA strongly, I'm thinking new high, which is why then I adjusted that, and in all fairness, it kind of fits, and I had that up there, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe there is a bigger channel, but once that hit that and come down, then I'm thinking more range, and then let's just then put that like that. So up until that failed and pushed through the MA, retested and come down, my bias is up at the moment. Obviously now things are changing. Having said that, there is an overshoot, but it's just it's a bit unpredictable at the moment, up down, so it's a little bit choppy at the moment and hard to read. But at the time, with that leg and 2 legs of correction and a push up, and we never, after that break, see that channel for me, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 touches of that channel, no argument, that's a channel. Touching, but just because it's a channel doesn't mean it takes over from the overall picture. And then when we had 2 legs up, excuse me a sec. When we had 2 legs up and a nice bearish bar there, it triggered. I thought there may be some shorts here. I left that alone, although it was possible it could have come down. But when it pushed higher, then I'm thinking then, okay, my bias is still long, because after we've had a break from this channel, it's triggered and we've pushed higher. So then the bias for me is still up. Now, we came down there. This is where our conversation started around here, wasn't it? So at the moment now, yeah, I'd say it's more likely it's a range, which is why I've decided to put that back there. In which case, if it is a range, we generally obviously bounce off the tops and come back to whether it's here. There's obviously something's causing the midline's causing some support and resistance there. So whether we'll end up moving between, because lately these ranges just don't always go from the top to the bottom. They bounce along in different areas. So whether we're going to sort of bounce here between this area or not, or whether we're going to come down, I've got no idea at the moment. But it is possible that we could come down to the bottom. But these ranges lately have been hard to predict. Every time they just hit the top and bottom, it's in a different place. So it's just in the eyes of the beholder how to draw them. Yeah, exactly. That's how I initially had it. But when we had 2 legs down and it pushed up, it sliced through the EMA, I just adjusted it because I thought, okay, that might fit. Push up, 2 legs down, maybe a bigger channel. And if there isn't a bigger channel, it's still a leg up with 2 legs of correction. You'd expect to make a new high in a lot of cases. If it's more ranging, then probably not. So, but yeah, it's you can draw these channels multiple ways. I'm quite happy that that's a channel with a break. But obviously when we had the 2 legs and that one didn't short, that's when I started thinking about adjusting the bigger bit. I'm adjusting them with a pinch of salt. That's why I'm keeping the colour out of them when I adjust it. If I keep the colour, then for me that's what I'm thinking is a possibility, but not a dead cert. Yeah, it's definitely looking more range at the moment, especially when it's bouncing there. We had a quick breakout, pulled in nice and sharply, and we've hit a few times there, you can see that. So for me, then it's struggling to get over. But there is a bit of an overshoot there, which sometimes can result in a reversal. I don't think it will. We may come up here, we may not. We've come down, we've gone up, we've come down, so we could come back up here, or sometimes it'll do that a few times. There could be maybe a leg and a leg and push up. I'm on the fence at the moment because it is above and below the EMA, so there's no direction apart from sideways at the moment. So second entry short there, but there's an overshoot, so that's a dangerous trade. It might work, but it's not a trade I would take. It's a trade I have taken in the past, because what I would naturally do is put it like that, and I'm not saying it's not like that, it might be, but I always like to assume the worst and just say that's initially where our first touch was, so that may be an overshoot. And what tells me it's an overshoot even more, because it came down quite quickly, and usually when it does that, may indicate more of an overshoot. Now, whether this is bearish or not, I don't know, but it could turn into a bearish second entry short, but I'm not interested, because for me it's an overshoot. I like to assume that it is rather than assume that it isn't and get caught out. At the end of the day, it will be crystal. Absolutely. It's easy at the end of the day, isn't it? You can just, there's always a bigger picture at the end of the day. I like to try and see if the picture changes, and a lot of the time I get it right. But it is, it's very hard to listen to other people, because that's why I disconnected the comments sometimes, because if you've got some people saying they think this, some people saying they think that, and you have that little thing in your head that mixes with how you feel about it, and it makes your decision making. You know, if you've got 4 people in the room with you, and 2 say it's this and 2 say it's the complete opposite, what do? Do you know what I mean? So you have to sort of learn your own way, obviously with input from Mac and his videos and his manual. And maybe with experienced traders that have been trading for a lot of years. But that's the thing, sometimes on the comments, you don't know whether it's someone's been doing it 3 months and, he's got an opinion. That's the hard thing, really. I mean, if I knew all you guys were 20-year seasoned traders, I'd listen to every word you're saying. But you've got to learn your own way, and you've got to make your own mistakes. You can't take trades based on what people tell you, unless, obviously, Max sat next to you in the room. But you have to just really go with what you believe to be right, and then when you make mistakes, because you've got to learn by your mistakes, really. This is one of those types of jobs where you have to, someone can't tell you what to do, you have to feel it and experience it. You're doing a stellar job. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Heading out, stop 9ish AM. So no, okay, so you're right on the other side of, yeah, okay, excellent. Okay, got to start my day, another work, have a good day. Yeah, you too, Ryan, take it easy, pal. I'll be back here Monday as usual. Have a great weekend, mate. Thanks for stopping by. You go and enjoy your job. I'm going to enjoy the sun this afternoon. I might even go fishing tonight for a couple of hours. Sit on the riverbank. Yeah, take it easy, Ryan. I've got a feeling we're not going to get a trade today. So as I'm on an evaluation, what I always do if I don't trade is switch onto a micro and just trade 1 tick. So you lose $2-3 maximum. But that way at least you count the day, because if you get to 6 days and you're lucky enough to pass, you've got to wait an extra day if you missed a day because you didn't trade. So I always like to get the day to count, so I'll just trade. I have one down here. It says 2 tick micro, but it is 1 tick. So I just buy or sell, it doesn't really matter. A loss with fees is $3, but it counts as a day. Scotch, absolutely. I've got one coming to the end of a Bunnahabben. It's quite a short, stumpy, fat bottle. I'm coming to the end of that, but we've got it was my daughter's birthday a couple of days ago on the 5th, and we've got a family barbecue at my sister-in-law's tomorrow, so I was going to get myself another bottle. I was looking at an 8-year-old Lagavulin, because as you know, I like my peated whiskies, so I was looking at an 8-year-old Lagavulin, or the 10-year-old... what's it called? They do a wee beastie version. What is it? I can't remember now. There was 2 in our local Tesco's. So I might... we had a barbecue at my brother's a couple of weeks ago, and I took a bottle of 10-year-old... No, I took a Lafroig bottle of Select, and probably drunk too much of it, actually. I think about half of it went. So yeah, I quite like the idea. I've not had the Lagavulin before. But there's an 8-year-old, probably it's about £45 in the UK, which is about $55-60. Or the Ardbeg, I'm thinking of a 10-year-old Ardbeg, which is another Isla whiskey, another peated whiskey. There's just 2 I haven't. But I do like I've got to say, first time I ever bought a bottle of the peated, which was the Lafroig 10-year, I had a sniff of it and I thought, there's no way I can drink that. I thought it was fat. It tasted like burnt. You know, it's burnt. It was foul. I remember letting my wife smell it, and she went, "Oh, that's disgusting." And I got chatting to the guy, and there's like a whiskey shop in Shrewsbury where I live in the little town, and he said, a couple of times a week, pour yourself just a little tiny bit and have a little sip, and you'll get used to it. And it's the peated whiskies are by far my favourite now. So I'll either buy the Lagavulin or the Ardbeg tomorrow. And I'll take that with me tomorrow night. Got to say, when you have a few of them, you don't wake up with a really bad hangover. Because you're not drinking. If you're drinking beer, lots of volume, you're peeing every 10 minutes and you get dehydrated to hell, and that's why you wake up with a thump in the head in the morning. But with whiskey, because you're not drinking a massive amount of fluids, I find the hangovers are a lot less. Scotch. You mentioned that the other day, didn't you? No, I haven't done. I've tried it in coffee before, but I've never tried it in tea. I'm probably drinking too much lately, so you're encouraging me to put it in my tea as well. I've never tried it in tea. I'll have to give it a go. Do you put sugar in your tea as well? You're switching from beer to whiskey. Now, you can look this up, Osam, and this is a fact. There are massive health benefits to drinking whiskey. Whiskey kills free radicals, so it's got antioxidants in it. I like milk in Scotch. Yeah, I put milk in my tea, and I always have a couple of sugars. I probably shouldn't, but no, massive health. No sugar. I like my sugar. That's one of my weaknesses. There are massive health benefits. I mean, you know, within reason, you don't want to be drinking a bottle a day. Probably health benefits are going to be less beneficial, but I think 1 or 2 shots a day has massive health benefits. It dramatically reduces the risk of things like Alzheimer's disease. It helps fighting cancer because obviously it kills free radicals. Free radicals, as we know, can get together and form tumours and stuff like that. So it's got real good health benefits. So, and after you've been drinking it a while, you do. DJ says I'm sweet enough. That's it. That old one, eh? Yeah, I probably should give up. I have tried actually with sweeteners. I can drink sweeteners in coffee, but in tea, because tea's quite bitter, I've not managed to do it yet. But no, it has real health benefits, and it's better for you, I think. You don't drink lots of beer, because I've never been a massive drinker, but I tell myself, yeah, if I pour myself a drink like I will tonight, I'll pour myself a double, which is the equivalent alcohol-wise to a pint of beer in the UK. And one of those days doesn't do any harm at all, but there are benefits to it. So I like to think I'm sort of helping my health by drinking. That's my excuse anyway. But no, it's got properties which can help fight against cancers and stuff like that. And let's face it, there's enough nasties out there that you can get to. So if you're going to have an enjoyment of some sort, I'd rather enjoy something that's slightly healthy. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I've known people who drink and smoke all their life and live till their 90s and never have a thing wrong with them. I mean, my wife's mother has been a smoker all her life, and she's fit as a fiddle. She's in her 80s. So sometimes I used to smoke socially. I haven't smoked since my daughter was born, 15 years. I gave up, but I used to smoke socially, but I used to like the odd cigar. I went to Cuba about 12 years ago and I bought myself a ton back from there, Cuban cigars. And I used to like a cigar sometimes, but I haven't smoked anything in 15 years. But I've got to say, smoking's definitely getting less fashionable. All I ever see now is people with those little electronic vapes. Smoking's getting less and less popular, I suppose, with the kids. They're more going for the vapes, which, in all fairness, I think it's better than smoking, but you persuaded me to start drinking. The first time, I started whiskey, I thought it was foul. I just didn't like it. But what I liked about it, the first time I ever had whiskey was about maybe 16, 17 years ago. And a guy who worked for a company, he was from the US actually, brought a bottle of... is it not Knob Creek? What's the one with it's got like a red plastic. It's dipped in like a plastic on the top. It's not Knob Creek. What is it? You know what I mean. It's got a short, fat bottle with a big neck. It's dipped in like a melted plastic, which is sealed. He brought a bottle of that, and we shared it between the three of us. And I felt drunkish, but I woke up without a hangover. Now, normally, if I'm drinking beer, because, once you start having a bunch of beer and you start going to the loo every 5 make a smart, that's it. Once you start going to the loo every 5 minutes, you're just peeing out water, aren't you? So your headaches are just violent in the morning. So I thought, actually, drinking whiskey, I liked that you can get a little bit tipsy or a bit merry without the hangover, and that's why I started drinking whiskey. But I had a bottle of Woodford Reserve, long, thin bottle, and I had that for a birthday and took it to a New Year about 7 years ago, and I drank it all. And I had some Guinness and some champagne and some wine, and I've never been that drunk in my life, and I never touched whiskey for about 5 or 6 years after that, and I just started drinking it again about a year and a half ago. And a friend of mine, I had some with a friend of mine, and I was just drinking cheap whiskey at the time, but he gave me some Glenfiddich. Glenlivet, sorry. Glenlivet. Which was single malt, and it was a lot smoother. So then I just went from one to the next then. Probably have a bottle a month, which is not a lot. That's the equivalent of one single shot a day over a month. That's only the equivalent of a half a pint, which is nothing. It's perfect. It's more beneficial, but after a while, when you get to your second bottle, it stops burning your mouth, because obviously when people first start drinking any types of spirits, the first thing they experience is a burnt mouth. But after a while, when I got to about a bottle and a half, 2 bottles, it stops burning your mouth and you start really appreciating the flavour. I thought, drink it slower. Yeah, I thought you said drink in a shower. Drink it slower. But didn't help. Finest scotches. I will say now, I don't know if you have blue cheese in the US. You have Stilton, don't you, in the US? It's like French. It's French. I think it's French. Stilton. I think so. It's got like a mould in it, isn't it? I remember the first time I tasted that when I was a kid. I thought it was disgusting. But I enjoy it now, and it's like a lovely, rich taste that you really appreciate it. It's something that you don't drink a lot of, but when you taste it, it's got that really, that really sort of nice, appreciative type of... And that's what I feel when I have a drink of whiskey. I savour it, and, I enjoy it. I know I'm going to go on one of those. My wife's getting me for Christmas one of those tasting evenings where you turn up at a local little whiskey shop and they pour like, I don't know, a dozen different whiskies out, and you can taste different ones, because obviously single malt is not the cheapest. I know UK it sort of starts from £25 and upwards, but sometimes it's nice to try lots of different types, and then hopefully you can find something you like without having to pay a lot. But yeah, so this little overshoot has resulted in a bit of a reversal. I thought it would do, but same again, we're close to these highs. So if you took that failure, you're going to get stopped out, I'd say. Try to go on. So it's too high to take a failure. That it's quite far from the EMA and it's quite close to the top, and you clearly got stopped out there. But what whiskey would you start with? Well, what I would absolutely start with, well, one of the ones I started with on single malt, is I would go with the Glenlivet. I would probably go with the Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve, because it's got a very slight sweetness to it, and it's casked in a rum cask, so it has those little sort of notes of rum in it, and it's quite easy going. It's definitely an easier whiskey. Stay away from anything that says peated on it initially, because that's a whole different flavour, which had shocked it. It shocked me the first time. So I would definitely. And what I would say is have one little shot per night and you'll get used to it, and eventually you'll really start to appreciate it, and that's when you'll start spending a load of money and get... No, you won't. But no, I would start with something like the Glenlivet. Glenlivet Founders Caribbean Reserve. It's got like an orange label on it. Or you could start with the Glenlivet 12-year-old. That's nice as well. Either one of those, but the Glenlivet. Stay away from the Founders Reserve, the blue label. I wasn't a fan of that. It had a bit of an odd taste to it. But go with the Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve, which is an orange label, or the 12-year-old, which is a green label. They're very, very reasonably priced as well. But just have one shot per day and sip it. And when you get to your halfway through your second bottle, the burning will stop and you'll really start to appreciate it. 5 years on this channel and none of us will be able to trade, but we'll be pissed again. Absolutely. Yeah, I like to think I'm bringing more than just trading to this channel. You're getting a free whiskey lesson as well. But no, I'm not a whiskey buff by any means, but I do plan to drive around some of the next year. Maybe just drive around some of the distilleries in Scotland. I've been up to Scotland before, but literally in and out in a day. I've never actually driven around it, but it's supposed to be spectacular. But Sam, who streams as well occasionally, Five Trader, he's from Scotland, up that neck of the woods. So if you ever get over the UK, get up to Scotland, the countryside, just the mountains and rolling hills, just looks absolutely spectacular. And it's steeped in history, Scotland is. And also, if you like your whiskey, it's probably one of the best places to go in the world, really, I'd say. For sure, yeah. But yeah, start with the Glenlivets for sure. Caribbean Reserve, the orange label, or the 12-year-old, which is the green label. But don't get the blue label initially. And sip it very slowly. So we're just going sideways here. Nothing's happening here today, is it? How long have we been trading for? 3 hours. I think I'm about done, actually. In fact, I'm just going to quickly flick over to the micros. In fact, I'm going to do it one at a time. I'm just going to quickly flick to the micros because I want it to count as a day. So let's do that. Let's just check it's working.
Order submitted.
Sell one. That MES. Okay. I'm not really bothered whether this wins or loses, to be honest with you. I just want it to count as a trade.
Order filled.
This is just for it to count as a trade, that's all. Most you're going to lose
Target
is
filled.
$3. Okay, I won $2 there, so that's account 28. So let's switch over to account 73 and do another one.
Order submitted. Order stop filled.
Okay, so I lost $1.25 off that. That's fine. That's all I wanted to do. I just want them to count as a day, that's all. Count as a trade. Let's get it back to contracts. I've gone back to the yes. Thanks for the week. Anytime, mate, anytime. So I'll be trading next week just from Monday to Thursday, and I'll be working from Friday so I can then concentrate on building an account. So the good thing about those accounts now is they both show a trading day, even though it's a couple of dollars. Neither in or there, really, to be honest with you. But if you don't take a trade, it doesn't count as a trading day. So if you happen to pass it, you get lucky, and you happen to pass it in day 6, you've got to wait another day. So you do the same, yeah. It makes sense. Get your trading days out of the way, so at least when you pass, you can swap over. But there's nothing that really takes my fancy in that lot, to be honest with you. I don't know. You may have taken that one. I looked at it, but it is congested. But apart from that, I don't know. You may have taken that one. But the trouble is, it's only a first entry, and it's EMA's flat, not a great signal bar. You may have taken that one, but the bars are getting smaller and it's feathering out, so you just don't know what's going to happen. And not only that, you got 2 legs down after that, so it's just been a little bit. I've got to say, there's a lot less volume today, so I'm assuming whether any traders have taken this week off because of Labour Day weekend, and whether they're then just going to have a final push to Christmas, I don't know. But the volume does seem low. We have had movement. I get the volume low when we're going sideways, but we've had plenty of movement, so it's a rollover. So are you saying that there are so much on the... So it's 12, isn't it? So let's see if the volume's any different on this one. Because it's not loaded yet, is it? Surely not. What have I missed? What have I missed? Why is that showing like that? That's right, isn't it? It is the 12th, isn't it? Is it 12:23 it is, or is it 20? No, it's 23 still. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so probably Monday, split the volume. Yeah. Well, I've just changed it to the 12th and it shows a massive big bullish bar, so I don't know what's going on there. But it's... I think Monday's the key, isn't it? So I think we'll change over Monday. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of picking tops and bottoms. There's nothing that looks attractive to go short or long there. I certainly ain't going long here because it could break in, but yeah, not a lot going on today, unfortunately, but we do get the odd day like this. And just really after we confirmed that, when we came back to it, we pushed straight through it. So if we'd have come back here, then we may have got an option to go long here, but that's one of those things. So that's it. I'm done for the day. So have a great weekend. And I'll be back here on Monday to Thursday again from now on, remember. So it'll give me a chance to build my accounts without having to worry about trying to build them up. So anytime, mate, anytime. So have a great weekend. Yeah, you take care as well, DJ. Have a great weekend, and I will chat to you all again on Monday, and hopefully we get a trade Monday. So if you're carrying on trading, good luck. Failing that, have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk on Monday. Bye for now.